Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello and salutations, I'm Sal. Welcome to Two Cents Toys, and tonight I'm joined by my very, very dear friend, Michael French of Retro Blasting.
Happy birthday, Sal.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yes, it was a coincidence that today's my birthday. I really hadn't done much in the channel, or for the channel, I should say, in a while. And I was like, oh, well, I'll go live on Monday. I have that night off, and it just happened to be my birthday. And I was like, well, if I don't lean into it, that's what it's going to turn into. So I'll just embrace that fact, and I will just call it a birthday stream. And I had literally no idea what I was going to talk about. So I was like, I'll do like most great men in history when they make decisions. I'll just wing it.
Well, then we kind of talked about some ideas a little bit, and there's kind of some developments going on in the toy world. They've been going on for a while. But there are some things that I thought would be fun to discuss because so far there isn't really, I mean, yeah, I guess if we all worked for like 3 months, we could put together some killer thought piece with all kinds of slick editing about it. But it feels more like a group discussion type thing, like something where you want to interact with the viewers in the live chat kind of topic. I don't know if that's how you feel about it, but when we were discussing it, I was like, this feels like an ideal live stream topic.
Right.
So
yeah, it's one of those that like you can have a you, me, and the wall conversation, but it's better to have that kind of sounding board of the chat to feel out and make sure that we're not just two men on an island kind of thing.
Yeah, so exactly. And so I guess, would you like to introduce the first discussion point, which I guess is what we were talking about, or do you want to save that for later?
Sure, we can jump into it. We were going to discuss about I don't know if we're going to talk about these two in particular, but kind of the overwhelming, I guess, decision making that occurs between a company, say like SH Figuarts or Hasbro or Super 7 or any of these companies when they do the same character at the same time.
Yeah. So I was messaging back and forth everybody in the chat. I'm addressing you at this point. I was talking with Sal a few days ago. We were, as usual, trying to frantically keep up with the fire hose of stuff that Hasbro announces every other week to try and distract us from the fact that none of these products ever get to market in reasonable quantities. And Sal alerted me to the fact that they had announced their Marvel Legends line was going to have Japanese Spider-Man, which thrilled me to no end. But at the same time, I was confused because SH Figuarts had already done that. But I think it was last year or the year before. In the background, we have the Mezco announcement of yet another 4 Ninja Turtles action figures coming out. And if I recall correctly, you've got Playmates, NECA, Super 7, and there is another company. Actually, there might be 2 other companies that are doing Ninja Turtles under license. Somebody told me there were 7 Ninja Turtles licensees at this point. So I hurt for the collector, Sal. I don't know. I don't know how we're supposed to make these decisions regarding similar characters. You know, there were already arguments a few years ago. I say arguments, debates. It's a better word. Debates about, well, you really need to get the Jedi Luke from SH Figuarts and forget the Marvel Legends Jedi Luke. And it's like, well, not everybody can afford the price tag plus the shipping costs plus, all the stuff for all those figures. How do you make those decisions? Like when because you've always been on top of the modern game. How do you decide which company you're going to go with? How do you juke? Like,
usually through crippling credit card debt. That's no. It really depends. Like a good example is the Mezco Destro that they put out. I am a horrible host. Give me 1 second. I need to address the chat.
Okay.
I'm kind of out of the loop. So Hello to Michael Schaefer, Mark Lorenzi, Scott Hughes, Andrew Sabina, Melinda M. Do you know that? Do you know Melinda M?
I think I know Melinda M. I think.
Okay. And we have KBA. Then we have that must be some sort of Soviet vintage reclaimers with a K vintage. So that's Matt Swafford, everybody. Great people. Jim Largo, Timothy Ward, one of the Timothy Banhammer Ward. My apologies, sir. I should use your official title. Jeff Morris, Keith Knight, Kal-El. Let's see, Toy Connections, the old Ken Poe. So I've recently been connected to Toy Connections. Gojatron, who I'll be seeing tomorrow. Charles Phillips, Jesse Huardo, George Aiken, all sorts of people. And there's Brian Dillingham coming in at the tail end. So I'm sorry, everyone. Normally I do that first, but I kind of, again, haven't gone live in a while. Not on top of it, which is not good. I should probably do that more, especially with Iconicon coming up.
Well, I mean, fortunately, we have a lot of support on Iconicon. I have sent you just now via Facebook Messenger a picture of both the SH Figure Arts Spidey and the Marvel Legends announced Japanese Spider-Man. We might be able to pull them up in the StreamYard.
Yep, I will pull those up momentarily.
Okay.
So let me save them because I don't want to pull up our chat.
Oh, yeah.
That would be rude.
Yeah.
So it's happened to me before on stream. They're like, yeah, I'll pull it up. And they pull up the chat. And I'm like, oh, now everyone knows what we're talking about all the time.
Great. Thanks.
Yeah. It's like they definitely needed to hear about like my dog's diarrhea from when I was 5. Thanks for that.
Yeah, appreciate that.
All right. Let's pull those out. You son of a bitch. Don't get a Mac, everybody. They're idiot proof, which means I can't use them. So, all right. Oh, hush.
I was just when I saw that after everything that's happened with the Star Wars license splitting, the Ghostbusters license, the Ninja Turtles license, I thought, and now I knew that Marvel had already licensed things to Hot Toys, but that is, to me, that is like a bridge beyond where Hasbro has the ability to go. So I was okay with that. It was a bigger scale. It was a premium, almost statue licensor. As Hot Toys, I see as like interactive statues is what they are. Whereas action figures in 6-inch scale, you think that seems to be a pretty locked in genre right there. You'd think there would be one licensor for that, and it's like nope. So,
all right. Clearly, I am a prepared, you might say. There we go. All right. So all right, excellent. So this is the Marvel Legends one.
Yep.
And I'd have to have Ryan on the stream to tell me, because they've done, this is the 30th Spider-Man in the last year or something like that. So to me, when I see it, I'm like, oh, that's the same guy. Now he has like the wrist thing. Like the web stuff came with the armor Spider-Man that they did on the retro card. So I don't know. What was it? $28? I think it was.
Yep, $28.
So, eesh. Followed by the SH Figure Arts Spider-Man. Now, I can tell you by looking at him, he will be able to twerk. So.
I do love the detail on that figure more. I know it's already been out, it's already been available, and so it's going for those SH Figure Arts secondhand prices, which are pornographic. But when Hasbro presents you with an option, but that option, I'll put it this way: occasionally, I have actually thought that Hasbro did a better job than SH Figure Arts. So, for example, when SH Figure Arts did Attack of the Clones Padme, I actually thought that the Hasbro Legends Padme's head sculpt and face looked better. I don't know what I can attribute that to. When I looked at actual in-hand photos and stuff, I was like, oh, I really feel like the Marvel or the Black Series one is better. In this case, my initial instinct is that the SH Figure Arts one is superior.
Mhm.
However, it's also going for like $150 to $180 now in the secondhand market. And I don't know if I really want to pay Mezco level prices like that. That's why I've never bought a Mezco,
Mhm.
because I know I just did a video about price, but like I said, price is in the eye of the beholder, and we're already concerned about Hasbro upping the price of their standard 6-inch figures to close to $30.
Mhm.
If we're balking about that, how can I stomach paying 180 some odd dollars for a Spider-Man like this, or coming right out of the gate with a Mezco figure that's what, $80, $90, just brand new? I don't know
Sometimes
if I
120.
Yeah, I don't know if I can ever do that.
Right.
Um
So I know Ryan is very much a big fan of Mezco, as is Bobby. I am the worst type of. I'm the exact person that we complain about when it comes to things, because I'm like, I have I think 4 Mezco figures, maybe 5,
uh-huh.
and I have a bunch on pre-order. And I'm one of those that's been waiting over 2 years for a figure from them,
Wow.
and I continue to pre-order from them.
Wow.
Like I'm the worst about it. But the point I was going to make with Destro is I pre-ordered that one. Now, if he had come out at the same time, or come up for pre-order at the same time as the classified version came out, I would have bypassed the classified completely
Uh-huh.
and gone with Mezco. Um, so sometimes it depends on the character. Like I have the Crow pre-ordered
Uh-huh.
from Mezco because I'm like, no one else is going to do the Crow,
Right.
and it's going to be the best one that we get. So I may as well get like the definitive best one I can instead of like getting a placeholder. Like I pre-ordered the Batman,
Uh-huh.
the what's his name, Patrick something Pattinson, Robert Pattinson. I could have gotten, or I could have purchased. Gotten's not a word, I don't think, but I could have purchased the McFarlane version. But I was like, the head doesn't look that great, and the Mezco one looks better, and I'm not going to waste the money up front to buy a placeholder until that one gets here. So
That's fair. I mean, I that's a good strategy. I hadn't really thought of doing it that way, but yeah, I think that's a good strategy.
Jim Largo says he's still waiting for Mezco Mr. Freeze. That's the one I'm talking about. And I'm one of those, like, you have the option to pre-order them like with a down payment or to pay them immediately. And I like to just, if I have the option to pay for a pre-order, I'd rather pay for it up front when I know I have the money for it, instead of like rolling the dice like, when's this gonna hit my bank account? Just because I'm, lazy, and heaven forbid that a grown adult make a budget. But that's the one I purchased him in March 2020.
Uh-huh.
And I'm still
Wow.
waiting.
That's yeah, I've heard something about the Mezco 89 Batman is still
Yep.
held up or something like.
Yeah. He went up for pre-order a couple months before Mr. Freeze did.
Good Lord.
So
And I thought Mezco was pretty reputable. So what's been going on there?
that's the thing. I was talking to Ryan about it, and I'm like, they have to say something, because they've been very mum on the whole
Uh-huh.
thing. They haven't said a word. Now the theory is they're doing, that hyper real thing that like Marvel, that Hasbro tried to do with like Darth Vader and Luke. So the theory, or what I'm hearing, is that it's going to be a seamless body. So it's going to be like a metal wire skeleton inside of a like rubber body, pretty much.
That's not good. That's not good. That's not good.
That's to me cracking and breaking over time.
Yeah.
Which the theory is that's why it's taking so long, because they can't perfect it. Like they're trying to keep it from breaking. But I'm like, Mr. Freeze is cloth goods.
Right.
So not sure why he's taking so long. I think worst case scenario is they may have lost the license to those specific versions.
Oh, you mean it took them too long, and so now they don't? Oh, wow.
That's what I think. But because 89 Batman, SH Figure Arts also did 89 Batman, and theirs already came out.
Wow.
So, and they're both the 6-inch scale. So
I
don't know. But they got to do something. They got to do something. Quickly, I did see a super chat from M Fargo 97. Happy birthday. Thank you, sir. Good for you. He bought himself a bivouac.
Yeah.
I know it's such a nondescript playset, but it's unlimited potential because it's not assigned to any specific person, and it just, I don't know, something like that to me is really cool. So, but I don't know what we're supposed to do. What is it that the king of Rohan says? What are men supposed to do in the face of such hate?
Right.
So,
Yep.
Oh, okay. So go ahead and stop sharing that because I'm getting messages now on Facebook. Don't need those popping up for everybody.
Oh, that's glorious.
So
Yeah, I'm at a loss as to how the collector is supposed to absorb this level of product being thrown at us in an age where no one company can even meet enough demand for any one figure line. Now you've got 6 or 7 Turtles licensees. You've got 3 or 4 Star Wars ones. We now have multiple Marvel ones. We have, multiple Ghostbusters ones. How does the collector keep up? How are we supposed to wisely move forward with our disposable income, I guess?
If well, we won't say the name here because we won't address such people. But if they had their way, we would have no money left.
Right.
We would just be, it would be reverse panhandling. We would just stand out there with all of our money in our hands as the corporations walk by and take the pennies from between our knuckles. Which I guess is the thing. Like that, we were talking about it earlier, and they're going after like it's like a, it's the pizza party that the corporate people throw to boost morale instead of taking care of the people. But they cut it into smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller slices. So you've got, 7 companies doing Turtles. When I guess everyone deserves a chance to go try to make money or something. But it's like, if I were in the Turtle game per se, and I were in the toy industry, I think I would avoid Turtles because I'd be like, I'm not going to try and compete with 7 other companies for ostensibly a small market.
Yeah.
It's Turtles have had a presence, I'm pretty sure, since the 80s, more or less with few stops. But at the same time, it's like they're exclusively going for those 80s looks, those 80s and 90s looks.
Yeah.
Like they're not rebooting the 2003 or 2004 animated look.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see a single company going after the next mutation for those that remember that.
Yep.
So it's just kind of, it's like you've said before, like how many versions of Darth Vader do you need?
Well, yeah, I mean they've probably, since the last time I counted, which was a few years ago, they've got to be, just Hasbro Kenner Legacy alone, they've got to have done over 100 variations of him.
Mm-hmm.
Just them, not including Hot Toys and Jakks Pacific and all these other companies that are in the game now, Jazzwares and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and I think we talked about this in a video a few years ago, where I think it was during the Rogue One thing I did, where I talked about how the magic and value that we put on vintage lines doesn't exist anymore with everything from the mid to late 90s forward, because a lot of these properties, these IPs like Star Wars, Power Rangers, Marvel, and DC, they've been Transformers is another one. Transformers, I should put a pin in that because that's almost an outlier. The bot guys, they will let they still stay excited about every iteration of all their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But like the ones I just mentioned, Star Wars, Marvel, all that kind of stuff, Hasbro and the various licensors that have continued to make these figures, they've consistently, and I put this in heavy quotes, improved on figures over and over again. So a figure that in one version hasn't been around in a while it doesn't really matter because they've redone that version, and according to most collectors, they did it better this time. So suddenly that figure is no longer that desirable.
Right.
And, you know, like I don't know if I'm making sense, but
No, you are. It's like when like some companies make leaps and bounds to improve on a figure. Like we'll get, I don't know, there'll be some figure that came out in 2008, 2009, like who's a good example? Like Toad recently got announced by Marvel Legends, and people had complaints because they're doing the original Toad that came out from Marvel Legends was very much a classic look. He had the big pot belly and the spindly legs and all that. And the new one is kind of a modern interpretation, so they're not doing a true 20th homage. However, that original Toad was basically a statue. Like he had almost no articulation to speak of. So that could be argued that's a big improvement. Whereas, Black Series, the Archive Obi-Wan from Episode 3, it's the same dated body with a new face. Or the Winter Soldier that they just did, the new Marvel Legend. It's the same figure from like 2015 with a new face. The new face looks fantastic. But like I think I put it in our group chat. I was like, the face looks great, but it just shows you like when I took him out, I was like, wow, this is really dated. The body was not updated.
Yeah, the body still has the problem where the arms can't go down at his sides.
Right.
Like he's still kind of, and I ended up picking him up because you showed the photo in the group chat of the face. And I was like, well, this sounds crazy, but it is Winter Soldier related, which is my favorite Marvel film. So in this case, I don't feel like I'm, bending or kowtowing to Hasbro. I feel like I'm just grabbing, the best representative stuff from Winter Soldier.
Right.
But you're right. The body is still totally dated. And it's just like what we were talking about the other day where there's that Mojo World 3-pack that's come out.
Right.
And it's gotten to the point like everybody in the chats, I've talked about Hasbro's price hikes even recently, but it's now gotten to the point where we're all having to, as collectors, be like scroungers in a World War II prison camp, where it's like Sal is sitting there talking with me going, well, I only want, was it Kill Shot that's in that one?
Long Shot.
He goes, I only want Long Shot from this set. And I'm like, yeah, I only want Outback Dazzler from this set. And so we're sitting there like having to figure out like, okay, so even though this set is now $133 before shipping from Hasbro because they're ridiculous now, we're now having to scrounge which parts we want and then go in on deals with other collectors.
Right.
It's like we're all just it's like 7 people sharing one apartment now.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
It's 7 dudes who work at McDonald's but really want to live on Venice Beach.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's rough. Quickly, I'm sorry, everyone. I've been ignoring the chat.
Go ahead. Go for it.
Melinda says that her brain always scrambles McFarlane and Raimi. I can see the confusion because they're kind of like the side of the same coin, really. Greg Fenson asks, how does 89 and Batman Mysteries get held up? That is a good question. A lot of their what's called their Rumble Society, which is like their original IP characters, it's like heavy reuse. Like there's one called Krieg, I don't know how it's pronounced it, but aside from the head, it's a reuse of their Mezco 112 cable that they did like years ago. So most of it's like heavy reuse, but their licensed stuff always takes forever. It's always delayed. Let's see, Payne's Toy Samples. That's a new name for me. I have a birthday, didn't just appear out of thin air. Well, it's debatable. Some think that there are no Sal women and that we just pop out of holes in the ground. Jim Largo, Mezco is pushing their in-house. Yeah, exactly. They drag their feet on licensed product. I'm sure Bobby could probably explain it to me, or explain it to us because he knows how all that works. But Mezco, they I hate to say it like this, but they have us by the balls because they make really great product, but it takes forever to come out. So Jeff Moore says he doesn't like pre-orders. I get it. I do the pre-orders because I pretty much don't find them. Oh, go boy, it jumped. Oh my God, Scuba Pete, sir. Happy birthday. Buy a toy on Leslie and I. Thank you, sir. I love you both too, and I will be certain to do that. I will be meeting up with Gojatron tomorrow to go on a little toy hunt. We're going to film it for his channel and all that, so that should be very fun. And I'll be sure to pick something up in Scuba Pete, and I'll say this product brought to you by Scuba Pete and Leslie.
You saw Embargo's super chat too, right?
The
$4.99 one.
Yes, that.
Yep.
All right. I'm used to this thing moving on its own, but it kind of got stuck, I guess. I didn't realize we were this far behind.
Oh no, go for it.
Oh God, Gojatron says Bandai, Playmates, Super 7, and Mezco all have the Godzilla license.
Yeah, see? What are you supposed to do? Like, what are you supposed to do?
If it were me, I would stick to Bandai and Mezco. Like Bandai for obvious reasons.
Right.
What is Playmates going to do with?
I guess Playmates is doing the retail store movie tie-in stuff.
Oh, right. Yeah, they make really good King Kongs. I haven't seen a Godzilla that impresses me yet.
Mm-hmm.
Super 7, God only knows. Mezco's doing 5 points, but last I looked, they had a set that was like $80, but it was like 4 or 5 monsters or something like that.
Oh wow!
So, but I know Monster Arts has it too. I think, or they did, but they do like really big ones. But who knows? Let's see. Oh, Brian Dillingham. No Dillinghamism. I said that wrong. Interesting fact, out of all the announced G.I. Joe classifieds, 40, good lord, the 47 classified figures, only 28 are unique characters. Imagine my surprise.
Doesn't shock me. Doesn't shock me.
10 of those are Snake Eyes, and the other 10 are Roadblock.
Yeah.
Let's see. Jesse Hughes says, use this money to buy yourself a Pizza Hut pan pizza with TNT or Land Before Time party hats. It's funny you should mention that, sir. When I was visiting my mother about a year ago-ish, when I found all my childhood toys, there were some I didn't bring with me, and they were the Land Before Time hand puppets from Pizza Hut. So those were a little worse for wear, but we did find them. So, but thank you everyone for the super chats. I appreciate that. And there's a ton of people here. I'm very surprised. Oh, World Made It Cardboard made it. Hello. Okay. Oh, I skipped, and there's another one. All right, Wolfie762. Happy birthday, thank you, sir. They kind of gave me the day off. It's I feel like Oliver Twist. Like, please, may I have a day off?
Well, you share a birthday with Temple of Doom.
I do actually. It was I saw that 38 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably the only thing. Like I was one of those kids that was cursed with anytime I tried to have like a birthday party, it never panned out because my birthday always fell on Memorial Day weekend.
Right.
And so it was like, I'd have a birthday party planned and then like one kid would show up.
Yep.
Like, okay, thanks. The one kid from class, because you have to invite all of them. And it's like the one kid I never talked to. Thanks for coming. So.
Yeah. But I was a July kid, so they were all on vacation by the time my birthday came around.
Yeah.
So.
Scott Hughes asks, "Wait, are you going to be in person on Gojatron's video?" You'll have to watch and find out, sir. You'll have to. Oh, good lord, they're pouring in now, and it's jumping all over the place.
Go for it.
All right, Killamagwai, welcome, sir. Says 2 of my favorite channels. Happy birthday! Thank you, sir. So Retro Blasting and who else? And Brian Dillingham says, insert Dillinghamism here. So.
There's nothing more humbling than a Dillinghamism, because it means that it really, and I'm not saying that in an ironic, tongue-in-cheek kind of way. I really do mean that, like, there are certain men of mystery within our community who, like Jason Anderson, Brian Dillingham, but in their own unique ways. So like Jason expresses himself through a lot of awesome humor. Brian has the signature Dillinghamism, and they're both kind of like they're almost like signs of approval. Like you feel like you've been accepted in a way when you see them and people like them in the from the community in the live stream chat. It keeps me humble.
Mm-hmm. It's actually when we were packing orders for Valaverse, I actually packed Brian's order.
Ah.
So I wrote on his little receipt, dynamism. Oh, Zazel's.
Ah, nice.
We will be discussing, I believe it's the toy tie-ins of the 90s. So the Not All That Glitters is Gold panel. So we're going to be talking about Dragonheart and Waterworld and Congo and a bunch of toy lines that probably shouldn't have existed. So, like, even if it made sense, like a movie like Congo should have been a slam dunk for toys, but they were just garbage. So, it is what it is, I suppose.
Well, it's there was a video recently, and I will stay mum on it as far as identifying it, because I am not a hypocrite and I don't want to reveal someone's exclusive Patreon stuff. But there was a video recently in which a number of YouTubers in the toy space predicted, speculated, worried that all of this multi-licensing branding that was going on and had been for the last several years could be the straw that breaks the collector camel's back, and that much like the comic book bubble implosion of the 90s, we could see the toy market finally shrink in a big way, because a lot of us are going to have to, close our pocketbooks. Do you see anything like that from the toy groups in the chat, or do you get a sense that could be coming, or are we in a holding pattern right now?
I will tell you. So I've taken a page out of your and Tony's books, and I've left a significant amount of the toy groups I was in because I couldn't take it anymore.
Right.
It was either like normal people who were kind of like, yo, guys, we got to reel this in. Like some of you were getting really excited over breadcrumbs, and they were just like, enjoy my joy kind of people. And it's like,
right.
Whoa. It's like you got kind of vicious there for a second. Like, but I see the ones I'm still in, the sales posts are becoming many.
Oh,
a lot of people are trying to offload their stuff.
Yeah.
So quickly, I would be extremely remiss if I didn't acknowledge one Melinda M. She says, Jasper and Kirby send their birthday love. It's covered in gray hair, but it carries good cat intentions. I wouldn't take it any other way. I've said before, I need to go to Retroblasting HQ because those cats need pets and pats about the face and flanks.
Well, you will have an opportunity, sir. You will have an opportunity.
Jesse Guardo says there was a Congo toy line, and Jagojatron says Congo, Amy, good gorilla. But yes, there was a Congo toy line, and it's one of those toy lines where I had a few. It was very short. It wasn't an expansive line, but because of that line, the Kenner Lost World line exists because they reused every single figure to make that line.
Oh, interesting. I did not know that. Okay.
So and that was, and we'll talk about it on the panel, but that was my first time I ever saw two figures side by side. I was like, wait a second, this is the same guy. It was my first time I'd ever noticed reuse. So
yeah, it the first time I noticed it was with the Robin Hood Prince of Thieves. But when you brought up Congo, I thought of, you said it wasn't a very expansive toy line, and my first thought was it better or worse than the aborted attempt? When I say aborted, it did make it into stores, but it wasn't there very long, of the Men in Black action figures from the first movie. Those are pretty terrible.
Yeah, I do remember those. I remember the Burger King tie-in. I think it was Men in Black 1, possibly Men in Black 2. I remember those toys being better than the retail toys.
Yeah, I remember the very first Men in Black toys. I was working at Toys R Us when they came in. I was like, "Yeesh, we have hit a low with action figure licensors and quality. Man, like this is just chintzy."
Yeah. If you want to see a real bad, we'll say this. We'll come back to our topic, but if you want to see a really bad toy line for those that maybe didn't collect in the '90s, look up the Independence Day toys.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Yeah, I had
Hey,
several.
hey kids, do you want a 3.5-inch floppy disk with every action figure you buy? Huh?
Mhm.
Ugh.
I had those. We didn't have a computer until I was about a senior in high school, so those floppy disks were coasters.
Mm-hmm. And I never saw the human characters in stores.
Mm-mm. I later saw the aliens, and
Yeah.
they couldn't stand on their own.
Yep.
And the tentacles always popped out in the back.
Yep.
And then you would open up the face and pull the little alien out. You could never get him back in.
Nope.
So, anyway. So, Alex F.A., yo, hello. Bobby L. Collins, I can't remember if I've seen Kong or not. Yes, lots of monster gorillas get their arms shot off by laser guns. And Bruce Campbell makes an appearance in that movie.
That's right.
So, yep. Let's see. Oh, good Lord. You all have been far too kind. Analog toys.
KBA as well.
Yeah, analog toys. That sounds very familiar. I think I may have spoken to him on the phone while I was at work. I can't remember. He says, "Happy birthday, Sal. Get yourself a Marvel Legend on me. Sir, you've now cursed me with a $30 fallover figure."
Yeah, mine are still falling over. Every time I come downstairs in the morning, I go to the Marvel shelf and somebody else is falling over. You saw KBA's super chat, right?
I did.
Okay, yeah.
Yep. KBA sends in one doll hair. Thank you, sir. I like to think that that's like a subtle like RoboCop reference.
Yes, I'd buy that for $1. Yep.
Yeah. Laser pants. Oh, thank you, sir. He says, "Hi, Sal. Can't stay, but I wanted to make sure you're having a killer day. Now that you're a legal drinking age, we can go out clubbing. First round of Shirley Temples are on me."
Yeah.
Yes, I know. I'm the youngest.
I would expect a comment like that from Fidel Castro.
That's right. So, but yeah, so the toy market imploding before we keep. Oh, real quick, Lio's here. Thank you, Thomas.
Oh, nice. Always good time with Thomas in the room.
That's right. So I know we keep getting like into the weeds on something, and then
it's fine.
Such is my life, I guess.
This is a hangout. It's not a structured thing. We're just trying to provide a certain amount of structure, and then if somebody in the chat decides to bring up something that totally throws off the discussion, that's fine too. And we can just go into that for a minute and riff.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, but the toy market imploded. It's Bilbo Baggins. Too much butter spread, or too little butter spread over too much bread.
Yeah,
it's happening. Like we were talking about that combined with the price hike, combined with secondhand prices, combined with limited distribution. They're going to price their people out of the market.
They are. I mean, it's already getting dangerously close.
Mm-hmm.
We had one price hike from Hasbro, and then less than 3 months later, they blamed Russia for another one, which I thought was really gauche. I was like, guys, really? Like, this is. I already knew they were mercenary, but now they're truly shameless. Like, this is, and you look at the prices of their HasLab stuff. Like their Sentinel was overpriced and can't stand up. Their Rancor failed, thankfully, because of all that.
We were doing the Lord's work on that one.
Oh, absolutely, we were. And the funny part is that, people left comments being shocked at the sticker price for the Playmobil Enterprise. They left comments on the video I did about that. And I said, well, guys, but it's literally a huge toy packed with all kinds of light and sound features and Bluetooth connectivity and USB-C electric adapters. And it's got all kinds of stuff going for it. And it's also not a Kickstarter or crowdfunder. And it's also not a pre-order. They're already making it because they believe it will sell. So I don't know how I don't know how the market can sit there and justify the price of that Razor Crest.
I have
But
no idea.
but then they balk at the price of the Playmobil Enterprise, which does more and ultimately costs less and is larger. Like I don't understand people sometimes.
Yeah, and that's I think it comes down. You did a very excellent video today about why you don't discuss price and how what's it worth kind of thing. Like because there's always I have a Fisher Price Adventure person. I'm looking right at him.
Yeah,
he's beat to all crap. He looks like crap, and you could probably find them for $3, or like ostensibly, or I guess objectively, he'd be worth about $1.
right.
But he's from my childhood, so
Yeah.
he's priceless to me. But by the same token, like that, I'm not a Playmobil kind of person. I'm not really even a Star Trek person. Star Trek 4 sucks. I'm sticking to it. But actually, it wasn't that bad. I was just being devil's advocate. But,
Right.
For a lot of people, like it's kind of, I don't know what it says really, that some people are willing to look at the price of a Razor Crest and be like, yes, I will buy that. But then when it comes to like an established property like Star Trek that's been around for years and decades versus Mandalorian, they're like, that's too much. Lights and sounds, too much.
Yeah, and they don't even have any intention of buying that anyway. They're just making a subjective statement, qualifying their position on what they think of that price. And you want to look at them and go, look, I get it that you're butthurt that this toy line Playmobil that you don't like made a bigger vehicle with more stuff going on in it for less than your HasLab Razor Crest. I get it. I get why you'd be upset. But that doesn't mean that it's not worthy of being purchased into a collection by somebody who appreciates it. Like that. It's like, look, if you guys want to sit over there and enable Hasbro to keep abusing you through these models, go right ahead. But that's one of the reasons why I was so impressed with that particular Playmobil toy, was because I don't really care if people think that the figures look more younger skewed for that particular toy line. It's a legacy toy line like Lego. They've been around for decades. That's their style. Great. The toy itself, though, was not a Kickstarter, and it was high quality, and it, you know what I mean? Like it I don't know.
I feel like, because I have a Razor Crest, which I think I've told that story on how I ended up with it. It's still in the shipper box, so some lucky soul is going to get it for, I don't know what the going price is, but it's going to be cheaper than the going price,
right?
But I've also never held or been around the Playmobil Enterprise. I do have two things. The Playmobil Enterprise, at least ostensibly from what I look at, looks like it's made of sturdier stuff.
Yes.
Like I look at the Razor Crest and I see the pictures and like everything pops off. There are all the little parts and all that. And I'm like, that looks like one of the big reasons why I haven't opened it at all, even to look at it. I'm like, I'm going to open this up and something's going to go missing. But the Playmobil looks like you could probably drop it and it would laugh at you.
Right.
So I don't know. I guess it just depends on, what something's worth or what you think it's worth. But my question is, the Enterprise, it was blown up in one of the movies, correct?
Yes, it was blown up in part 3.
Part 3, okay. So let's see, Star Trek came out in 67?
66, yeah.
66. So it lasted over 20 years, I think.
Yeah.
Thereabouts. The Razor Crest lasted 2 seasons.
Right.
So I'm not trying to say, like, you should buy the Star Trek Enterprise or the Razor Crest, because I don't have a horse in this race.
Right.
But it's just kind of like, I don't know, it seems weird, or I guess we're trying to get to the bottom of how minds work, I guess. So it's just kind of interesting how value is perceived and all that, but I don't know. Same thing can be said on like why does Sal like Visionaries? I don't know.
Yeah, Visionaries are a weird thing for me. I had a discussion with one of it's a father and son that runs Second Chance Toys where the Iconicon meetup is going to happen, and I was talking to Chance, who's the son of the two. He's in his, I guess, late 20s. He's a good guy, and he's obsessed with Visionaries.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been talking with him about it on and off every time I'm in there. And he recently just scored the big vehicle from that line. I can never remember the stupid name of it. It's
I have no idea. I stick to the figures.
yeah, and I have the figures from like the first wave, all complete but loose. You know, they're loose, complete, in good condition. But even with those in hand for the first time, yeah, I remember them being advertised as a kid. I remember having zero interest in them.
Mm-hmm.
I recognize that the cartoon is actually pretty cool, but I haven't ever watched all the cartoon yet. I'm still getting around to it. So yeah, it's a weird kind of thing when you see a toy line like that and you think, well, it was only mildly successful in its day. Like it wasn't a failure, but it wasn't a runaway hit either. And
Right.
and now you're looking at the prices of them and you're going, good Lord, like what, how did that, what? Like where, huh?
That's like I had no interest in Visionaries. Like I knew the name, didn't know what they looked
Mhm.
like, and then I saw Toy Ploy do a restoration on one. I was like, oh, these look cool. They're like 4-inch GI Joes, and just looked cool to me. And I was like, cool. So I went to look them up, and someone there was a listing on eBay. Buy it now. It was like the all the figures in various forms of completion for like $60 or something. I was like, oh, okay, so they're cheap. I'll just I'll come back and get them when I have a chance. And I let too much time elapse. And then it was like $60 for one figure. And I'm like, what just happened?
Right.
So I don't know if people see, that stamp of the 80s and they're like, oh, that means money.
Well, yeah, like I mean, there were these lines that I always figured this is going back like 7 or 8 years when we were kind of just getting started with our channel. And I had already, as we've all talked about, I was a lifelong toy collector, but I was staying in my lanes. I was collecting things that I really wanted from back in the day that I never had, like Boulder Hill and a few Silver Hawks and the Matchbox Voltron and all that kind of stuff. So when we started the channel and we really started digging into some of these lines that I remembered from when I was a kid, certain ones were already valuable. So like Filmation Ghostbusters. And you go, well, that must be valuable because Ghostbusters, even though these are two distinct versions of the license, they are related in a way to the 80s experience with the Ghostbusters licensing kerfuffle. And people who like the well-known Ghostbusters have a higher percentage chance of also liking this offbeat Ghostbusters. So I figured that's why they were probably, very collectible. Whereas something like, let's take Crystar, let's take Black Star.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, I can see Black Star maybe being desirable for people who collect He-Man just to have extra stuff, that's in scale. But Black Star as its own property or Crystar as its own property, I've never understood why the prices have jumped up on those in such a major way. Like it really doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
It's like you famously said, toys for your other toys.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like because I was doing that. Like there are sometimes where like even with Action Force, I'm constantly buying things for my Action Force figures.
Right.
Like especially McFarlane monsters. I'm like, oh, these would look great. Or like I think they're called Galaxy Warriors or something.
Mm-hmm.
They were kind of an augmentee to Motu or the wrestling Motu figures they did recently.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always like, oh, I'll buy these. I'm not collecting this line. I'm buying it for this line.
Mm-hmm.
But I think probably that might happen. And I don't know. I have no metric to kind of gauge this from, or I have no evidence to be like, this is the case. This is purely speculation. That possibly the people who are collecting Motu like that reach a point in their collection where either A, they can't afford the rest of it, like the Scarab Glow with the capes that are $300 or whatever. But they reach a certain point where they're like, okay, I can't afford any more of this, so I'm going to collect this line, which is similar.
Uh-huh.
And I think it's that I need to buy something, I need to collect something, because you can't ever be done. There's always a gap in a collection somewhere. There's a desire to continue to keep going.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you're like, well, I guess I reached the end of my hobby. Now what?
Yeah. It boggles the mind, really. And I have an incentive to try and track down some of these for the purposes of making retrospectives and things like that for the channel. But at the same time, it does get to a point where you can look at something like those Galaxy Warriors, and there's a whole cult around those in the collector's circuit. There's these people that just, that's what they like, or those kind of almost knockoff off-brand toys from the 80s. And I think it's cool that they're collecting them up and preserving them and all that kind of stuff, and documenting everything. But it also drives up the prices to the point where I go, I think those are interesting, and I really would love to talk to an expert about them one day and film their collection.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to jump in on those myself. Like I'll go over here and I'll get that Robin Hood castle from England. That's what I'll do with my money. Like it's weird.
Well, it's having an appreciation for something and then actually doing it, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'd mentioned before, when I started getting the Motu Origins, I appreciated Motu from afar, because I was like, I still don't know a whole lot about it, and I was like, I don't, there's too much vintage stuff for me to get into. And there was the classics, and there was all these other He-Man lines. I was like, you know what, that's too much. But with Origins, I got a chance to get it on the ground level. Like I was like, oh, this is a new line, so I can actually collect these things. But similarly, talking about the knockoffs and all that, and I very much like the core.
Yeah.
And people shit all over the core for no reason. And they're like, oh, they're knockoff G.I. Joes. I'm like, yeah, but you can get like a tray of 30 of them for $20.
Wow.
That was for about 2-3 years, probably Christmas, birthday, I always got a big tray of the core figures from my grandma. Because to me, they were when I was a kid, G.I. Joe was a type of construction. It wasn't necessarily a specific IP.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, they had the same O-ring style. I'm like, these are G.I. Joe. So, but that, people are fighting over, a slightly less yellow Storm Shadow on eBay. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to buy up 30 core figures and get about $10.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think they're great. And, now that I've said that, people are like, oh, that's a good idea. So, I think it was Scuba Pete. When he got his Defiant, he was looking for Space Guys, and I was like, Scuba, I was like, you can get I think I sent him a listing. It was like 12 or 18 core figures and spacesuits, plus like their motorcycles and all their gear, and it was like $30.
Wow.
Something. I was like, you can man up an entire Defiant just by buying core figures. So, I guess it just depends, but we know people have loyalty to a brand. So
I have gotten over that. Like I got over it one day. One day I woke up and I did not have that brand loyalty anymore like that. I don't know where it went, but it went away. I'll tell you that much. And I don't mean that I was now going to throw brands under the bus or anything. I just simply mean that I no longer felt beholden to those kinds of forces.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's like, people have told me, and by people I mean like one person, have told me that I'm loyal to a fault. Like loyal, or I think their exact phrase, like loyal like the family dog or something like that. Like I'm loyal to people.
Yeah.
But not companies. Like it's the same mentality. Like when I frequent the GameStop here locally because it's like a toy mecca. Like they have more toys in that one GameStop than like the surrounding 3 Walmarts. And so I know the people in there, and so I know them by name. They know me by name, and they know what I'm looking for and all that. So I'm loyal to them, but not to GameStop.
Yeah,
like, I don't know. It's this whole thing, but people, they see a label, and Star Wars fans are the worst, but they see slap Star Wars on it, and all of a sudden I need it. So like I had a discussion with someone I used to work with. He was like, "Oh, you're gonna go." This is back when Episode 9 was coming out. He's like, "You're gonna go see it?" I was like, "Nah, I'm not gonna go see it." He's like, "Oh, I am." I'm like, "You want me to tell you all about it?" Because I've already heard all about it. He's like, "No, man, it's Star Wars. I'm gonna go see it." And I'm like, "And that's the problem."
Yeah, that's where you want to look at somebody and go, reclaim your bounty, like reclaim your dignity. You don't have to do it. You're still a young man. Like you know.
You have so much to live for. Don't be a hero.
Mm-hmm.
So,
pretty much.
World Made of Cardboard brings up a good line, and we talked about this before. It says the core rocks. Proof that Hasbro missed the mark with G.I. Joe. The core has stayed in stores since the 80s, and that is true. They've pretty much without a beat have been in the toy aisle since their inception.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's, not to get on my soapbox or my pedestal, but there are some people online who like to call Valaverse Action Force the core because they're like, isn't that like the core? And I'm like, you all keep saying that like it's an insult, and it's not.
It's not. It's not.
Like, I mean, for when people want to complain about G.I. Joe, like I love 90s Joes unashamedly, but the core was still doing military style figures. You know what? Let me go grab 2 of them.
Okay.
Talk amongst yourselves.
I will talk with the chat. I am looking at Andrew says it says blank on it. Just buy it, nerd. Yeah, that's how a lot of people act. They really do. And Drew G, I have 2 Sergeant Rock figures in the jail cell of my G.I. Joe headquarters. Yeah, see, I love it when lines have the same scale and you can mix them together. But yeah, the core is a venerable toy brand. The core is one that and I wish I could find some of their vintage vehicles and figures because they're actually quite hard to track down. You can find 90s core, but 80s core and their vehicles, not easy. Not at all. But yeah, so I'm doing fine, Impossible Pie. Thank you for asking. I am doing just fine. Cannot complain. Yeah, Chris, you say, in my opinion, Analog Toy says Kylie is returning to Neighbors. Yes, she is for the finale. And I will be finding some way to see that episode and then own it as a hard copy. Chris says, in my opinion, G.I. Joe went off the rails when they went more sci-fi. Yeah, and even today, like, just as how the brand is handled, G.I. Joe is the Disney version of military toy lines. It is the way Hasbro treats it now. It's not what it was. Oh, wow. Yeah.
90s figures.
That's cool. That's cool.
When people, they want to shit all over the core, and it's like, that's weird because they were still doing military stuff when, you all say G.I. Joe went bad. It's kind of like Star Wars, where people are like, oh, Star Wars is the best. I hate 6 out of the 9 movies, but Star Wars is the best. It's like, so you love G.I. Joe, but you only like G.I. Joe from like 80 to like 85, and then everything is shit except for Classified.
Yeah.
So
that's
it's like,
pretty much.
You sure? Like, I don't know.
That's like right here. I'm looking at this. It's a vintage core figure from 1986, still carded, and it's $120. And you know what? I don't blame them for selling it for that because you don't find many 1980s era core figures anymore. Like they got mixed in, and then I bet you a bunch of people ended up buying collections in the 90s, and when they saw that it wasn't legit G.I. Joe, they probably just threw them away. The only ones you still see are these ones that are still carded. Here's a 3-man assault team, $100 or best offer, carded on the long card. They're cool. They're really cool toys.
And that was like for the price of like one, because sometimes you'll see like the price tags are still on them, and it's like you'll find like a carded I don't know, like Cutter version 2 or something.
Yeah.
And then it'll be like, oh, the original price was $5.99, and then you'll see a 3-pack of core, sometimes like a 5-pack that comes with like 2 motorcycles and stuff like that, and it'll be like $3.99.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know. when it comes to buying vintage, I don't care if it has weapons or not, because I was one of those kids that as soon as I opened it and spun around 3 times, the weapons were gone.
Right.
So I just care about the figure. So whenever I got Core, they came with a buttload of guns, and I was like, cool. Now instead of having one shotgun for everybody to share, I have two.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was very big on swords, so like Ninja Force was great. So because you don't have to reload a sword.
Yeah, I was always a fan of the swords too. The only problem I had was when a thumb would break off, and then suddenly the sword wasn't as easy to use.
Yeah, that was when I did the figure of you as Luke as a GI Joe, which is kind of a weird connection.
Mm-hmm.
I included the blue and the yellow sword, and I was very kind of I was like, do I put these in the hands? Do I not? Because those look kind of big, and those hands look pretty skinny.
Right.
So, but yeah, it's so that's I'll defend the 90s GI Joes until the cows come home. However, a lot of those guns were thumb breakers.
Oh yeah.
You'd get a knife, and the knife, like the handle would be like half the size of the guy's arm.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And the other problem is that the what do you call it? The swords like Snake Eyes version 2, his sword had such a chunky handle on it that you were putting that figure's life in its hands, trying to put that sword in his hands. Like it,
Yeah. Jesse Guardo brings up another. Is it Guardo or Guijardo, or I'm sorry, I can't pronounce it. He says there's also World Peacekeepers, which is rebranded as Click and Play, and they come in 3, 7.5, and 12-inch. They do actually. I think I sent you the headquarters. I think it was. It may have been the Quonset hut. But it's they're available on Amazon, and they fit in perfectly.
Oh yeah, the World Peacekeepers line is that's one of those that was sold in various places like Toys R Us and stuff like that, and I would see them when I would go in, and some of the pieces from those lines, even though they're still making certain parts of them now under different brand names, like the place that you sent me that I still need to do a review on. There are other pieces from, because those companies, I don't understand the naming history, but the companies that were doing those military toys in the 2000s and still make them today under this new name, the name changed all the time. So like it was Motorworks and 21st Century Toys and this and that. And then at one point, I think they were called like BBI or something. And that was when they were making the in scale, like jet fighters, like the F-16s and stuff like that, that are now going for, I kid you not, thousands of dollars. Because military collectors have been buying them just as much as toy collectors have. There's a whole fascinating history around those, but also I'm going to be doing a video, hopefully within the next few months, probably will be after Iconicon, where I'm taking one of those World Peacekeepers motorcycles that they came out with, and it had a sidecar on it that looked very similar to the one Sean Connery was in Last Crusade. And I'm gonna be showing people in a video how to take that motorcycle and kind of turn it into the motorcycle and sidecar that we never got. So
I think I remember seeing that photo. I think because I remember you got it because it was a Keith Knight that sent that to you. I think.
Keith Knight, and by way of Scott Hughes. Yep.
Yeah, sometimes the UK gets the best stuff. I don't get it.
Yeah, sometimes they do. And what's really weird is when you try and go find that motorcycle, there's another patrol vehicle, because they're both called patrol vehicle. There's another patrol vehicle that was also sold in the same size box from the same line, same year. A lot of these vendors who are outside the United States will be like, yeah, if you want to buy one of these, we'll send you one. We can't guarantee which vehicle you'll get, though. And it's like, because the other vehicle is not a motorcycle. It's like a little ATV or something like that. And it's like, well, that's not going to do me any good if it shows up and it's the ATV, So, yeah.
Yeah, There was something I was going to buy recently. Oh, nope, I lost it. There was something I was going to buy recently, and then it's like, oh, you might get this one or might get that one. Oh, it was the McFarlane stuff. I like the big monster things they're doing for like $20.
Yep.
And yep, they had what they called their chase variant, which it's not really a chase variant if it's half and half, but whatever.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I want the Rhino with the red armor, and I got the opposite one because you just buy it, you don't know which one you're gonna get.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of sucks because it's like, oh, I'm not gonna spend, it's kind of like a really expensive blind bag.
Yes.
So, which I'm a sucker for those. I bought 4. They have these eggs now for Jurassic Park Dominion. And I'm like, oh, they're small little dinosaurs. Like, I'll throw away the egg and the slime and all that. Just keep the little dinosaurs and put them on my desk. And I was like, well, the one I want is considered because they have like a roster on the side of the box. It says like common, rare, ultra rare, this, that, and to entice kids to like buy them all. I was like, well, the one I want is common. So if I buy 4, rule statistics, I'll probably get one.
Right.
Nope. I got 3 of the ultra rare ones. And I was like, if the ultra rare was the one I wanted, I would never see it.
Sure.
So it's just, I'm like, how ultra rare can this be if I got 3 of them? So
yeah, it happens like that sometimes. I mean, sometimes you just can't predict. You look for something forever and ever, and you think it's never going to come up, and then suddenly 2 years later, you finally think you found the only one that's popped up, and as you're trying to get it, 2 more pop up.
Mm-hmm.
It's very strange.
Yes. World Made of Cardboard and Humanoids is not 3 3/4 scale. They are huge.
Yep.
I had, I think I talked to you about this when you were making your video with Matt Swafford. Like I shouldn't say I had. My older brother had, and I inherited 3 of the human characters. I had no idea what they were.
Yep.
And then I saw the video. I was like, oh, mystery solved. And then watching the video, I was like, oh yeah, I hated those. It was like they were massive, like almost 8-inch 5 POA figures. So now the monsters, on the other hand, that would have been right up my alley.
Oh, but yeah, the Inhumanoids monsters I would have loved to have had, even as in the 80s. I wished I had a few of them to fight Voltron, but it was always about, can I spare an ask from a parent, to get one of those on one of the scant events where I get a gift. And I thought, I just don't want to waste my ask on one of those. It was weird. It was a weird thing. Mm-hmm. But your kid brain does that. Your kid brain is like, I just don't think that's worth it. Yeah.
That's we could talk about that for a while. It's an interesting thing when you're in the toy aisle and you're like, I know I can ask for one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, your parents say, you can ask for it. They give you kind of parameters, like, because the top shelf and the bottom shelf where all the really expensive stuff was.
Yeah.
So like between here, you can ask for one thing, and you're like, because you're like, whatever I get, I this is my one ask for the month or whatever it is. Like, because my nickname as a kid was Pokey. Because I took forever. Because I'd sit there like, I don't know, like I was someone important that makes decisions. I don't know. Clearly, I don't make decisions, or I'd know what they're called. But I was like, I would sit there with like 3 toys and just kind of stare at them and hallucinate. And try to think like, how can I play with this? Like, because there was nothing worse than, okay, this is the one, and then you get home and it was just dog shit.
Yep.
Like, well, I guess I have this now. So
it happened to me. I think I've told the story a million times where I was hell bent. I was gonna get a Silverhawk when they came out. I thought that was just the coolest new, design concept. I thought it was really neat looking. Boy, that action figure was disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
Even after staring at it in the bubble, it was this sense of staring at it in the bubble. I knew enough about figures at that point, because I'd been through Star Wars and Voltron, and I'd been around the toy game for a while, and I remember looking at that bubble and going, I think this is going to be disappointing. But I've dragged my mom to so many stores over the last week, 3 or 4 weeks, months, whatever it's been, waiting for these things to show up. If I walk away without it, I don't know what's going to be worse. Like, it was like kid pride or whatever.
Right.
You've
convinced your parents that you want this so badly, and then when you get there, if you change it, if you change your mind, they're going to be mad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So no, that was. So we had the town I grew up in, or grew up in air quotes. There was I hesitate to call it a mall, but it was a collection of stores, we'll call it, that had a KB Toys in it. Just across from that, there's a Walmart, and in front of the mall, there used to be a Toys R Us.
Okay.
And so every once in a while, my aunt or my grandma or whoever would take us. Oh, the jig is up, boys. Sorry, we were just talking about living next to a street. So we would start at Walmart and be like, oh, I don't really see anything. Then we go to KB Toys. And then there was always like, oh, I don't know if I want this or not, because you're like, oh, but there's Toys R Us at the end of this, or you really had to hedge your bets, because if you found something at Walmart, the first place you went and you got something, well, I have a younger sibling, so we'd have to go around and look for what she wanted, kind of thing. So it's like, well, what if I get to KB Toys and there's something else I want, and I want it more than this, or what if And then there was always that kind of dread, like, what if I make it all the way? Because we didn't always go Walmart, KB Toys. Like, we would sometimes only go to, like, KB Toys. We'd only go whatever. But there was always that dread of, like, okay, this is the last store we're going to, and there's nothing that I want. But if I don't get anything, then I don't get anything. And it was just this horrible, like, I wonder if that's where my anxiety started.
I know it was partly where my analysis paralysis started, for sure. Absolutely. I have to grab some batteries real quick because my mouse has said I'm done, and I can't control my side of this without it. So catch up with the chat real quick. I'll grab some double A's. I'll be right back.
We'll talk amongst ourselves.
Okay.
All right. So let me scroll up, because there were a few here. World Peacekeepers. Look for one. All right. Well, first off, thank you everyone for coming. This is a really big turnout. That means a lot to me. So far for my birthday, I got off work and met up with a family member and had breakfast, and then I went to bed. Because I still work night shift. So I had grand plans to do all sorts of things. KBA, yeah, they had very small heads and huge bodies. Huge bodies to the point where like you could like maybe pretend that they're in like an exoskeleton kind of suit, but it's like if you look at it, it's like no, there's no possible way. Like they'd have to be like emaciated, like something. I don't know. It just excuse me, it doesn't work. Let's see. Word made of cardboard's taken off. Thank you, sir. Thanks for coming by. I appreciate you being here. Let's see. Scuba says you couldn't chance the dreaded. Well, if you can't just, yeah, exactly. Like, and there were times where I got some stinkers, like, because it was like, well, because I was very much I like the way a toy looked kind of thing, and it took me a couple stinkers to really get, I guess, attuned, I should say. Looking at a toy and being like, okay, how does this thing move? Because I grew up in the 90s where everything was like power posed and like looked cool in the package. And so you get home, you're like, oh, so that power pose he has with his legs when he goes to kick, it just looks silly. So, Greg Fenstead asks Sal, do you ever have a toy vault? Yeah, actually, we're myself and Goji are going there tomorrow. So, if you want to meet Sal, I'll be at the toy vault tomorrow. Knights of Old asks, did I buy myself a good birthday gift? I have not. My plan originally was to order myself a pizza, and I kind of slept too long because I was like, okay, I'll start the stream at 7:30. That gives me, like, if I wake up at like 4:35, that gives me about an hour or so to run to GameStop, look around, order a pizza, eat it, and then do the stream. And I just didn't do that. Impossible Pie. Do I have a favorite 90s Joe figure? All of them. All of them. No, actually, so I have like, it's a weird thing. I have like a favorite character, a favorite toy, and then like my favorite GI Joe. Like it's very bizarre. So like my favorite character is Destro. I mean, for those that don't know, it's Destro. But he was not the best toy because they didn't do the ball neck with him just yet. Like the Iron Grenadier Destro looks great. I love that version of him. But my favorite Joe overall, or my favorite figure, I should say, not even my favorite to play with, just my favorite figure is General Flag version 1 because he was my first Joe figure. And I'll actually go get him because he's a 90s Joe.
And I'm back. So
welcome back.
Let's see. Favorite Ninja Force character, asked Greg Fenstad. Well, my favorite Ninja Force character would probably, I don't like the Scarlet action figure, but I like the Scarlet character, and I liked some of the color schemes they did for Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes back then. For some reason, I was really into that sort of Arctic blue, half transparent blue Storm Shadow they came out with. I would eye it a lot when I was in the toy stores, and I was in high school, so I didn't buy it, but I remember looking at it going, wow, that's kind of cool.
So that's General Flag. That's a 90s Joe, everybody. That looks very military to me.
Yep.
So we have some kind of scoundrel joining us.
Oh, we do.
Who is this, young sir?
Hello. How are you?
Wow. Hey, Sal.
Yes, sir.
It's somebody from another country.
No, Michael, we know that country doesn't exist.
Oh, that's true. Then how did I get there a few years ago? That's what I want to know. Tony, how are you, sir?
I'm good. I want to apologize for being late to Sal's birthday because for me, his birthday was yesterday.
Right. Right. Oh yeah.
And I did not misspell desert rat. I just thought since it's Sal's birthday, I would get him some dessert rat.
Well, I've said famously that it's never been desert rat. It's always been dessert rat because Tony is a rat.
That's true. That's very true. That's very true. Tony, what are you up to right now? I take it you're taking a little break from work.
Yes, I'm at work. I've got a meeting in about 45 minutes, so I'm just taking a bit of a morning tea break. I've got a cup of tea, and I thought I would jump on for 20 minutes or so and say happy birthday to Sal.
Nice. Please, you have the floor, sir.
Well, just before I jumped on, Sal was talking about does he have a favorite GI Joe from the 90s? When was Big Ben released?
Big Ben was in 92, I think, 92 or 91.
Then that's my answer to that question. I don't have a Big Ben action figure, but I hope to rectify that at Joe Fest.
I would imagine, even though he's got a lot of little accessories, he's a very cool looking figure. But I imagine Joe Fest, there will be somebody there that will have a complete Big Ben and good Nick. I bet you there will be.
Because he's SAS, isn't he?
I believe so. Yeah, he's a sharp looking figure. He's one of the best of the 90s. Yeah, for sure.
According to yojo.com, he was released in 91 and discontinued in 92.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
So, did not last long.
He just so happens to carry the Mag 58, which, I've been hounding Bobby for ages to bring that into the Valorverse line.
Uh-huh.
Some people call it the M240 Bravo. I call it the general purpose machine gun. Whatever you want to call it. It's a 7.62 millimeter belt-fed machine gun. It was my favorite weapon system when I was in the military. So,
wait a second. I did not know this. So I knew that you had a favorite weapon system when you were in the military, and I also knew that Big Ben looks like you. But holy crap, the fact that those two things came together years before you were ever in the military, that's weird, dude. That's weird.
Well, you see, I never thought I looked like the Big Ben figure until you guys said I did. Well, now I've got an obsession with getting one.
You do. I don't mean like I don't mean it in the way that we talk about laser pants looking like Fidel Castro. I don't mean it like that.
Yeah, which means we're only joking when we say you look like Big Ben.
Well, no, I mean it like in the sense that when you legitimately look at Big Ben and you take the camo, if you look past the camouflage makeup on his face and then that hat, he could ostensibly be Tony. From if you look at him dead on, it really is. Okay, look, I'm gonna send you the image, Sal.
Yeah. Was this the Storm Shadow you were talking about, Michael?
Yes. Wasn't he originally kind of a light blue, or am I going crazy?
He was, I think, until this one gave up the ghost because it was one of the color changing ones.
Yep.
So, and I have Nunchuck, and he's
okay.
pink. So
I've got a great picture here. I'm sending you, Sal, of Big Ben, and it's dead on. And when you look at this figure, I've just sent it to you. When you look at this figure dead on, it looks like Tony. I mean, it's very kismetly bizarre, and kismetly is not even a word. I took kismet and a qualifier, and I crammed them together because that's what customizers do.
Exactly.
Yeah, see, Venkman says, holy crap, I just looked him up. Tony does look like Big Ben.
Yep.
See?
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Dude, are you look right at him dead on, trying to erase the camo and just look at his face. Like, it looks like you.
Yep.
It's weird.
What we need to do is if we could get rid of the hat, we need to put that on the is it Hit and Run that has all the swatching all over his body.
Yep.
And it would look very much like you, Tony, on that boat that you were on that photo.
Yes. Yeah, where I'm holding the general purpose machine gun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very weird, and yet so appropriate, because it's not like, Tony, it would be different if we found like some late wave Silverhawk that really looked like you. That would be kind of disappointing, because it'd be like, oh, of all the figures that could look like Tony just by coincidence. But this one, it's so bizarre. Like, it's so appropriately bizarre.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My new favorite obsession.
Yeah. Meanwhile, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and saying that I want to pick this up at Joe Fest, I have started my kind of wants list for things I'm on the lookout for at Joe Fest. I'm reticent to announce too many things because I know what this generous community is like. But honestly, guys, if I mention something that I'm on the hunt for and someone goes out and gets it for me, what you will actually be doing is taking away the pleasure of me being able to hunt for it at a toy convention, because I don't get to go to them very often, and certainly not, a decent size American one. I've never been to a convention like that. So I really want to be able to do that in-person hunt myself. So I'm after Heavy Metal's weapon.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also after his microphone, but a repro one, because I don't want to blow half of my spending budget on a little piece of brown plastic.
Right.
I would very much like a nice complete Zartan and Swamp Skier if I find one. Big Ben is another figure I'm after. Tunnel Rat and General Hawk from '86, I think.
Mm-hmm.
See, I'm picking lots of nice small things because I don't have to worry about luggage then, having to pack too much in my suitcase. So, yeah.
It's and also you'll have another opportunity if you don't find certain things at Joe Fest. There's a less percentage chance, but still a chance that you might find something at Second Chance Toys that you were looking for at Joe Fest that you didn't find. So,
and look, I have already said to myself that I am not going to leave that in-person Iconicon meetup without buying something from Second Chance Toys.
Oh, you don't have to. Oh, yeah, but
I don't know. I just want to, as part of the whole experience, to be able to, a few weeks later, get back to the Analog Tourist studio and always go. Because for me, that'll kind of be my memento of the day. It'll be, that's the toy that I picked up, and it might not currently be on my list now, but much like you guys, my list is extended. There are things on my wants list that I don't even know are on there until I see them. So,
oh yeah,
you know?
oh yeah. What is that? What's that? That's a good question for both of you. Like, when you guys want, are looking around, or you go to a toy shop or a toy show, you've got a list. You see something that's never been on the list, it's not on your mind, and you suddenly have to have it. Like you're like, oh, I didn't know I needed this thing until I saw it today. Like, can you guys recall a toy where that happened?
Welcome to my life.
Oh, okay.
Like, that's pretty much how I shop for toys. Like, I'm like, oh, this looks cool.
Wow.
So now I do have a running list. I have a file or a folder in my phone called Look For, or Confined, or whatever I call it. I think I called it Confined because I thought it was funny, because confined. And it's just like a running list of like things I get reminded of, like, oh, add that to the list. Now it's full of like Playmates shit from the 90s, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
But Deep Six version 2 stays on that list because I'm always looking for him.
Really?
Oh yeah, I army build them. I think I have 7 of them.
Oh, okay. I was like, I swore you had some. Anyway, yeah, go ahead.
So I don't know. He's cheap. Like, as long as it's the body and the helmet, I don't care about like the floater and all that kind of stuff, because
right,
who cares? Can't be arsed. Like, you can't display it with a floater. So,
Yeah.
But no,
I always remember going to a toy show in Perth several years back, and I stumbled across a 1960s GI Joe drawing set, and it came in quite a large box because it was it's like a plastic table, and I think it runs off like a couple of D-cell batteries with a light in it, so you can actually do some, you can put the paper down on this white bit of plastic, switch the light on, and do tracing and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
So like, I never knew I wanted it, but it was a nice big box with beautiful artwork, 1960s GI Joe artwork, and it was like $40. And I'm like, for $40, I'm taking that thing, and I still have it now. I'll never make a video about it, but I have
it. Yeah, I the closest I think I've come to that. I'm sure there are other times where I just bought something online, but like walking around, I've told the story where it was at a Joe Fest, and it was the first Joe Fest I went to, and I didn't have anything on my list, and I just thought, well, I don't have the Conquest, so I'll just pick up the standard GI Joe Conquest, and then I ended up buying it from a guy who also had the Python Patrol one. So I thought, oh, I'll pick them both up since, I don't have that one, and I'll have them both. Then I wandered into that room, and that guy had that silver one that he customized. I'm like, damn. And I ended up walking away with 3 of those things. It was a crazy, crazy day, and it wasn't even something that was on my list. So I know the feeling. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
And, anytime someone jumps into the comments of your YouTube channel and calls you Mr. Negative or Michael Hates Anything, all you should respond with is a link to that video.
Oh my God, guys, look, after almost 40 years, I've realized the Conquest didn't suck. It was the paint job that sucked. I'm out. Yep. Oh man. Yeah, that's so true. Hey, by the way, Tony, are you, when you're here, are you going to how do I put this? Is there any kind of thing in the back of your mind about possibly figuring out how to start a USS Flag journey, or is that out of your mind right now?
I don't know. Possibly.
Okay. I'm just asking. Yeah. I have no loaded sneaky anything. I was just genuinely curious. So,
well, I mean, comes to shove, you could always buy it and then float on it back to Australia when you're done.
Well, T.I. Joburg proved it's possible. I don't know how far they went with it.
That is true. Tony, just so you're aware, they also re-released, I guess it says there have been 4 versions of Big Ben, possibly more, but there's a 2002 version with a slightly more understated paint job that comes with all the same equipment as well. So, and he's O-ring.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. not saying I'm not. What I'm saying is you definitely want the one from the 90s, but I'm saying if you end up having an interest in this Big Ben character, it looks like they've re-released him a few times, and he looks pretty nice in some of these re-releases. So
yeah, cool. Well,
Yeah.
I would also really like to get a dragonfly. I am very concerned. I would probably, if I did pick that up when I was in the States, I would probably just box it up and ship it straight back home rather than put it in my suitcase.
Right.
And I'm kind of hoping I can get one at a bit of a deal because I already have a really minty Wild Bill figure and file card.
Right.
So I don't need Wild Bill and the file card. So if I can get a nice dragonfly without the figure, definitely. I've had an obsession with that vehicle since your video with your father-in-law.
Oh, right. Yeah. That's the frustrating thing about that vehicle is that it's so spindly. You know, like it's not bad in hand. It's just that trying to ship it, pack it, do whatever you have to do with it. That's where you start to, chew your fingernails, because it's like, well, it's not fragile until you put it through some kind of underprepared shipping scenario. So we've got plenty of good packing material and everything here. I save all of it, much to Melinda's frustration. So we've got all the good bubble wrap and all that stuff. So if you find one, we can ship it. So
definitely.
No,
are you on the hunt?
Me?
No, I was going to say, Sal, are you on the hunt for anything in particular at Joe Fest, or are you just going for the experience?
A little bit of both. First off, though, when Timothy Ward sends this, it's a custom Big Ben, and that's Tony if I've ever seen him.
Wow, that's weird.
So, and as luck would have it, the person who posted
Can you zoom in on that at all, or?
I don't know if I can. I'm not Ryan, so.
Oh, you know what? Forget it. I'm on my phone, and I just realised I can zoom in on my phone.
But the person was nice enough to include down here the recipe for it, so I could probably just make it.
Oh wow!
So Roadblock from '92, Skid Mark, Iceberg, Hit and Run, and Footloose. So
I need to get a Skid Mark just to have a GI Joe named Skid Mark.
Yeah, I have him. He's not very cool.
I with a name like that, he couldn't be.
The coolest GI Joe by far is Toll Booth, because he has a sledgehammer.
So does Road Pig.
That's right, Road Pig does. Quickly, Scott Hughes, thank you, sir, sends in the super says, happy birthday. Thank you, sir. He says, here's for a tray of the core. I appreciate that. I will be on the lookout for core. Oh, it jumped. I had another one. I thought maybe I missed it completely, but okie dokie. Let's see.
So I don't know how many people in the in the chat here today are coming to the Iconicon meetup. For those people who aren't, I've been meaning to kind of get this information out there. The Iconicon exclusive Boba Fett figure is available for pre-order on the Stan Stolo Etsy page as of right now. You can go and pre-order the figure. It's not something where you have to come to the in-person meetup. It is just a figure that's been created in honor of Iconicon. Is that the right word? It was a collaboration between the Iconicon planning team and Stan Solo Creations. The whole concept and design of the figure was all Chris Smith. I had very little input because, you don't need to with Chris Smith. You just let him do his thing. But if anyone wants that, the card back's beautiful. It's there. Yeah, I can't wait to pick mine up on the day in the swag bag. But if you're not attending the meetup, you can't purchase the swag bag because we're not shipping them. But you can get the figure from the Stan Solo Etsy page. So.
Yep.
Well, he's done an amazing job with that Boba Fett. I mean, you're right, Tony. It's just like wind him up and watch him go. Chris Smith. You don't have to. He has all the right instincts, and I trust every single reflex in that man's brain as far as making action figures. It's crazy how good he is. So.
And it's like every couple of days he comes up with a new. I'm in a group chat with me, him, and Melinda as the the people behind Iconicon sort of planning this, and it's like every 4 or 5 days he sends me and Melinda a couple of pictures going, I've decided to go and add this little element here. The most recent one being he has back metalized the movie accurate blaster. I mean, Melinda, like, man, I already thought this figure was cool enough. Then he's doing a card back. Then he turns around and says the front of the card back art is going to be reflective. So, that traditional racetrack piping around the Star Wars cards is going to be reflective silver rather than just printed. It's amazing, absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it looks stunning. I can't believe how much. I'm humbled by how much effort Chris has put into that, and I think everybody's going to be real. And that's the other thing I love about this whole thing is that just like Iconicon is for the community, in other words, every channel, we're raising some money for charity, but we're also trying to boost the signals of all these independent, medium, and smaller channels. It's also a place where we're not selling the figure. We're welcoming Stan Solo into this event, and he is selling that as his kind of what to us are videos. He offers up an action figure, so it's not like it's not a for-profit thing for us. We're not getting a dime from those figures, but it's helping out another independent person in the toy community, which I think is great, and everybody gets a great product from it too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty. We are just collaborating with Stan Solo in the same way we're collaborating with the channel, but he doesn't make videos; he makes cool figures.
Right.
So yeah, but Michael's 100% correct. Analog Toys, Retro Blasting 2 Cents Toys, we don't make a dime off those figures. It was just it was a cool idea, which I think was it your idea, Sal, originally.
It was.
Yeah. So I sent Chris Smith a message, and as soon as he read the message, within minutes he was like, "Okay, yes, I'm all over it. I'm going to do it, and it's going to be this figure, and I might back medalize him, and I'm going to use the colors of the Iconicon." And it was just this belt-fed conversation for 5 minutes. I was like, "Holy crap, this guy doesn't mess around." So,
yeah, and what he's done for this particular one, I'm humbled at the level of effort he went to, because we didn't request any of that effort. He just was like, you know what? Let's do something really, really special. And it's like, I didn't realize how special he was talking. Like, yeah.
It was a very quick succession. It was like kind of, hey, this would be a cool idea. And then within a matter of hours, it was like, okay, this is it. So, But KBA says, sends a super chat. Thank you, sir. He says, for the birthday fund. Also, has Tony seen the Warthog vehicle that came with Sergeant Slaughter?
Yes, I'm familiar with that. It's got like teeth printed on the front. The front's got like a, is that am I thinking of the right one, where it's got some teeth printed down either side of the kind of nose of it?
Yeah, it looks kind of. I think it's an amphibious vehicle. I think.
An amphibious kind of APC type thing. Yeah.
Yep, that's the one. No. Indeed.
Outside of my era, a little bit, but
yeah, I've never seen one in person. I've only ever seen photos online. So.
Yeah.
But what's interesting, so I have probably 3 or 4 like gallon Ziploc bags, I guess. So I, had already famously said that I lost accessories. Somehow my mom found like 5 pounds of them. So that was part of the whole, here's all the stuff that you had from when you were a kid, yada, yada, yada. And I have parts to Joe vehicles that I never owned.
Wow.
Riddle me that.
I ended up with parts to G.I. Joe vehicles I never owned too. And I ended up with a few Star Wars figures that I never owned, but I know for a fact how those ended up getting mixed up into our stuff because of the next door neighbor's kid. His stuff always had chewed fingers on the figures. So I kind of I figured out that some of it was like that, but some of the G.I. Joe stuff, I still don't know how it got into our collection. And I mean, like just parts, like a missile to a vehicle that we never owned, you know, and it's like, huh? How'd that happen?
It's like, I have the, what is it? The not the terror bubble. It's the pogo thing. Is that
the trouble bubble?
Trouble bubble. Yeah. It has like the legs on it. It's like the pogo bouncer thingamajig. I have like 3 legs to that, but I know for a fact I never owned that. So
That's weird.
Yeah, it's here we go. Scuba Pete wanted us to show some photos here.
Okay.
So he sends us a photo of the warthog. Once I do, I'm getting pretty good at this. I have it figured out now. I know how to do it. So he sends us a photo of the warthog. Flint is looking a little worse for wear there. He's gone tits up, I'm afraid. But so that's the warthog, which is a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. So we got Chuckles hanging out here. We got Flint, Sarge, one of the Marauders whose name I don't remember. It's to do with the red hair. I know that much. Because the only Marauder I care about is Mercer.
You know what else is a lot bigger than I thought it was? Is the top of Sarge's head.
Well, that particular one has a removable hat. That's why.
Does it really? Removable hat. Okay.
Yep. Just like Crystal Skull Indiana Jones. It works out so well every time, doesn't it?
So, yep. Old Scuba. Thanks for flexing on us, Scuba.
He's like his house has become like if TGI Fridays was just toys,
right?
Like toy decor. Like, holy crap.
Yeah, that's yeah. I mean, you guys have seen my apartment, so you'll see me on an episode of Hoarders one day, I'm sure.
Oh no, no, don't say that.
Yeah,
we don't want you digging through, you know, rat feces to find your coveted Cobra Commander with Mickey Mouse logo on the chest or something.
Right. Well, right now I'm digging through. I have no idea where Zodak went. Like, not even a spot.
So I've got to interject here. So Michael, because of the time difference, kind of after work yesterday afternoon, I dropped my son off at work. I did a bit of shopping for the dinner, you know, because the wife's away at the moment. I'm struggling to cope domestically, but I got back and it was around 4 o'clock, which would be 4 a.m. on the East Coast, and I was like, I'm going to get in before everyone else, and I'm going to call Sal and wish him a happy birthday and have a bit of a chat. So we're chatting to Sal, and we've actually organised that on the Friday when I leave Atlanta and head back to Rhode Island, I'm going to go and check to my hotel, drop off my bags, but then I'm going to go and spend the night at Sal's apartment. Because my code name's Desert Rat, and you're saying you don't want to see Sal traipsing through rat feces, I was like, has Michael predicted what's happening on Friday, the 1st of July?
Well, there will be a lot of Taco Bell consumed that night, so it's not out of the possibility.
That's funny.
So, yeah, it's also not too terribly far from where I live. There is I mentioned this on 3 POA, I think it was on Saturday. There's an old military fortification called Fort Adams that's still around, and they had an intricate tunnel network. It's like 8 miles worth of tunnels or something, and it was like, it's Revolutionary War times, and it was pitch black, and these guys had to memorize, 5 paces turn right, 2 paces left, like to get through these tunnels. It was gunpowder storage, so they couldn't bring a lantern or any flame with them. It was pitch black, and they offer tours now for the safe parts of the tunnel that are not collapsed and all that. And at the end, you get like a little button or something that says, "I am a tunnel rat." And so not only will Tony be Desert Rat, he will also be officially a tunnel rat.
Nice.
So we're going to do that on the Saturday morning. I've got to do, it's the only Iconicon stream that's going to go live before 9 o'clock in the morning. On the Saturday, there's one at 7 a.m. and that's because I've got the G.I. Joe Bird guys on and all their different time zones. So me and Sal came up with this idea, and it was like, hey, come and stay at my apartment. Then you've got, my Wi-Fi and my setup to do the live stream at 7 o'clock in the morning. And then after that, we're free until I think it's about 3 in the afternoon. Sal, we've got to be at Valaverse. So me and Sal are going to go on a mandate on a Saturday morning and get out and see a bit of stuff. Maybe smoke a pipe together.
We will indeed.
Yeah.
So, also, you can film your little excursion to Fort Adams, becoming tunnel rat.
Yes, I love it. Well, look, guys, I'm going to have to jump off now because I've got my meeting shortly, and I need to go and just get myself prepared. But happy birthday, Sal! And for those of you who are coming to the Iconicon meetup, I'm going to be dressed quite special that day. I'll just say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It might be the only time in America where I'm actually wearing a beret.
Oh wow! All right.
I'm not gonna wear it at Joe Fest. At Joe Fest, it'll just be a Valaverse T-shirt and whatnot. But for photo opportunities.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right.
And if you pay him extra,
maybe
you get the
maybe we'll get a discount at the dinner.
Well, you might. Yeah. Yeah. That'd be awesome. I would happily enjoy you getting a discount for that. Absolutely. So
Nice.
Exactly.
I've got to go. Happy birthday, Sal. Hello, everyone in the chat. Michael, we'll talk soon.
All right,
have a great
we will.
night, guys. And
all right, you too.
I'm going to keep listening on in the background.
All right,
Thank you,
sir. Be safe.
Thanks for coming.
Right. You're welcome, Sal. Goodbye.
Yeah. That was for those. Yes, he will be doing photo opportunities with the beret. However, for the 18 and plus crowd, if you're willing to pay extra, there will be a mankini option.
Oh man, yeah, yeah. I won't be in any kind of outfit or anything aside from just as people know me. So obviously for Tony, it's a legit military thing. So it's not. But it's not in other words, don't get the wrong idea, everybody. Those of you that don't know that Tony is a military vet, the few of you that don't misconstrue what he just said. This is not a costuming or cosplay event. Okay, it's not anything like that. So, yeah.
Yep, that was we have a lot of uniforms. People may or may not know there's a lot of uniforms. I think I have 6 uniforms that I have to maintain. Something like that. They're all for specific occasions or specific events and occasions. And one of them is like, every branch has a ball, which is kind of like a prom, pretty much.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, come to the ball, buy a ticket, blah blah blah. And I never go. I've never been. And like, why don't you ever want to go? I'm like, because the idea of wearing my dress uniform for 6 hours is not my idea of a good time. It's just not, and they don't breathe very well. So you get 100 people in one room, all sweating and breathing heavy and all that, and I'll pass.
So what? I know we ask this every time that we get together on a stream, and I know it sounds like a pat question, but it is a perennial question that never has an ending. So I'm just going to ask. Is there anything you're presently anticipating from the toy world, modern wise, that you want?
Well, there's there's what I want and then what I get in the world of pre-orders that we live in. So the only thing that has my interest at the moment, Marvel Legends announced a animated series Morph finally that we've been asking for years. It's going for pre-order tomorrow at 1 p.m. So I have to wake up at my equivalent of 1 a.m. to pre-order it. And it's coming in one of those stupid ass VHS box things they're doing. So
right,
Lord only knows. But most everything else I have pre-ordered. Just waiting on them to show up, more or less.
Yeah.
I don't really get excited for announcements anymore. I used to be very like, oh, I gotta order everything that gets announced, but I think I've kind of missed that wave now. Like for about 2 years, it was that sweet spot where it's like everything that was getting announced was the stuff that I wanted. And
Uh-huh.
then now that that's run its course because those teams are complete, or they're not, or the line is dead or whatever, it's just kind of like, oh yeah, okay, well that's cool, I guess. Like I don't need that. So, but it's also I'm kind of getting priced out of the market, Michael.
Really?
Yeah,
You don't say.
yeah, it's a weird concept.
That is, I mean, I know that Hasbro has started to make it really difficult for everybody. I mean, it's why I'm largely excited by the fact that I haven't enjoyed most of the Marvel films after Endgame,
Hmm.
and so it gives me lessons. I'm buying percentage wise a lot fewer of the new Marvel Legends characters from the movies that are coming out and TV shows,
Hmm.
and then similarly, my interests in the comic book style Marvel Legends figures are so niche in general
Hmm.
that it hasn't really impacted me. It's like, yeah, some of them are frustrating to get because my interests are niche. It means they usually end up doing things like packing Outback Dazzler with two other characters. And it's
Right.
like, oh, or in the case of Pride of the X-Men style OG Storm,
Hmm.
putting her with Thunderbird, which is legit for the comic, but I wasn't trying to get her for a comic reason. I was getting her for the Pride of the X-Men, an arcade game thing. So it was like, but otherwise, like I haven't been bitten too hard by Hasbro in that area. So similarly with Star Wars, aside from having to wait for all those Rogue One figures to finally trickle out and
Hmm.
and getting a few redone faces, including dodging a bullet on that re-released New Hope Han Solo, who I felt like his new screen printed face wasn't as good as the original face.
Yep.
I've been pretty done with Star Wars Black Series. I on a lark at Super RetroCon, I picked up the Jackson green rabbit from the comics because some guy had it at his booth, and then there was what was the other one I was gonna.
I wish I'd known that you were looking for that because I bought it just because.
Uh-huh.
Like, I really don't have any attachment to this guy, so if I'd known you were looking for it, I just would have been like, here you go.
Oh, I appreciate that. The only Black Series figure I can see jumping at if they finally decide to do one is Mara Jade. That's the
Mm,
last one I would probably buy. But
yeah.
otherwise, I'm pretty content with everything that I've got. And similarly with Marvel, once I get Outback Dazzler and Sharon Carter and Japanese Spider-Man, I'm pretty much done. Like I'm not, I don't need anything else. So it's,
Yeah, no, I'm there with you. Like for that, the I get not part and parcel, but my heart pretty much belongs to Jim Lee style X-Men when it
mhm.
comes to Marvel, and that team's done.
Yeah.
Like pretty much done. Like there's a few outliers, but it's done more or less.
Yep.
I still like, even though I wasn't around for it and I don't own an issue of it, I would love to, is the Giant Size X-Men #1.
Yeah.
So I have that team done except for not Siren. What's his name? Banshee.
Yep.
He's like, I think he might be the last one that needs to be released, is Banshee off that cover. But otherwise, like that team's done. Like, and I'm a sucker for animated series Spider-Man stuff. So that's what I'm really looking forward to, is the Walmart exclusive. So bit tongue in cheek on that, looking forward to. But the Lizard, because
Oh yeah.
he looks phenomenal.
And is that on the retro card back?
Yep.
Uh-huh.
So, but I don't know. So there were a few questions here. One of them,
Yep.
Drew G says Arctic Sal, Desert Sal, Jungle Sal, Sea Sal, Tiger Force Sal, and Pimp Daddy Sal. Is that the 6? You forgot Crippling Depression Sal. Impossible Pie says, Sal, are you an inbox collector? Wondering what the fascination with today's collectors to have to keep everything in box. Why is packaging so bad? What are them? I am not an inbox collector. So the problem with the collection, if this is what you're referring to, was having to throw away packaging was I was moving so frequently in the last 4 years that when I would review a figure, I'd get one, I'd open it up, put it back in the box. I knew I was going to be moving soon, and it's just easier to pack a box than it is to pack a bunch of loose figures. So I've been getting rid of those, but otherwise, the few exceptions. If it's like if the figure itself is like 25 to 30 years old or older, I won't throw away the packaging, but I opened up a whole bunch of Toy Biz stuff that came. It was a Big Bad Toy Store came into new old stock, and it was like 15 figures or something like that. And I opened them all up and threw them away. So
Wow.
yeah, because I'm like I'm tired of being beholden to packaging. Because it's like like I feel like I'm like the librarian. I'm like, oh, now I have to maintain and protect this stuff. So that being said, I do have the box to my Kenner Jabba the Hutt, my Kenner Dewback, and my Kenner Rancor. I still have the boxes to those. I had to look to make sure that's what was correct. But I also have my Power of the Force 2 X-Wing and my Power of the Force 2 TIE Fighter boxes. So, I don't know, it's kind of hit and miss. Like, some things I keep, some things I don't.
Yeah.
Okay, then. That sounded violent. Greg Benstead asks, if they were updated now, I would like to field this to you as well, Michael. If they were updated for articulation, pinless, accuracy, etc., name one comic and one MCU figure you would love to have remade. So, Michael, would you like to go first?
Oh, gosh. If it was pinless and they said more accurate, which one you'd like to have remade?
I think I know which one.
Okay, go for it.
So I think for you, for MCU, it would be Sharon Carter.
Yeah.
Or Peggy Carter, rather.
Oh yeah, Peggy Carter. Yeah, Peggy Carter for sure. You knew my answer and I couldn't even come up with it. You're absolutely right. Yep. So I would want Peggy Carter in that leather jacket from World War II at the end of the movie, in the combat leather jacket and army pants with the Tommy gun. That's what I would want.
Yeah, because I'm looking at my Peggy Carter where she has the kind of dress skirt.
Yeah, the face is not good on that one. It's not horrible, but it doesn't look like Haley Atwell.
No, it doesn't. So it looks like her stunt double.
Yep.
But I don't. For me, in terms of MCU, I don't know if they even count as MCU anymore. I'm gonna go with Daredevil. I really like the way Daredevil looks as a figure, but he doesn't have butterfly joints. He's got pins and all that. And the one I have, I'd have to look because I have a tackle box full of extra heads, but I don't think he came with a Charlie Cox head.
Oh, okay.
So I'd like to have that. He may. I have to go through the tackle box and look. So, but I'd like to have a new Daredevil. So, and for comic, I'm never going to turn my nose up at another Cable. So,
yeah, for comic, for me, it would be I have this soft spot for the Excalibur team. So I'd love to see Circe done finally. I'd also love to see an original Psylocke as, the Betsy Braddock Psylocke with the, that would be nice to see. They're doing Outback Dazzler, so I can check that one off. But I'd also like to see if I really had my druthers, and this is something that would never happen, I would love to see them do the Pride of the X-Men / arcade game Kitty Pryde, the one that's just in the khaki pants and the blazer. That I know that's a nothing figure that they would need to pack in with something else, but I would love to have that to go with my group. So,
yeah, that's where is my Nightcrawler? Let me look at him. Nah, I think he's pretty well set.
Yeah.
It's when it comes to re-releases and things like that or updates, I would like when they do an update, because we touched on this earlier. I'd like them, like when they did the Obi-Wan on the archive card. I'm like, could you give us a new body?
Yeah,
maybe with butterfly joints, because I don't know if anyone's looked at that figure recently. Mine is out of arm's reach. I could go get him, but his head is incredibly tiny on that body.
Right.
Like I did a head swap. I put it in our group chat. I made an Inquisitor Obi-Wan. I put him on the Moff Gideon body, and the head is perfect. But you look at him, and it's like he looks like an Inhumanoid figure. So
Yeah. Yeah, totally does.
but well. So
Yeah, there are certain little nitpicks that I have. Like, originally I was like, why did they have to give Firestar the big stand-up collar that she doesn't have on the cartoon? And why did they not give the retro cardback Dazzler, which is what I call Pride of the X-Men Dazzler? Why did they not give her all the proper she has these, she has the blue outfit, but she's got the kind of pink red bands around her legs at various places, but they only gave her like one. And it's like, why didn't they give her like the multiples that she has? It's stuff like that, where it's kind of like, okay, like, but those are real nitpicks. Like the fact that we got a 90% there Dazzler,
right,
and that we got a Firestar. And I'm not sitting here saying we should be grateful to Hasbro. I don't mean it like that. I simply mean that it's a miracle of miracles that we got those figures at the 90th percentile,
right,
at all. So
I'm amazed that we're even getting another Dazzler.
Yeah,
like because there was the Disco Dazzler, part of the Warlock wave, and she was a peg warmer. Her and Polaris. And then when we got Dazzler on the retro card, I was like, oh, they did another one, and then we're getting another Dazzler. I'm like, I'm just shocked that we're even getting that one.
I am too. I'm really shocked because I didn't care anything about the Disco Dazzler. I now somewhat regret that because I realized it would be the perfect base to do a custom Kylie Minogue figure. But I missed that bit of logic and rode right past it at the time because I saw her on pegs. I was like, disappointment. That's not the Dazzler that I wanted. But yeah, the Outback one coming out, I was like, what? Like, you got to be kidding me. So I don't know. Maybe there is some truth behind the theory that Hasbro is seeing the end drawing near for being able to do some of this stuff, and now they're better to burn out than to fade away. Maybe they are just kind of digging deep into the archives at this point, and doing everything they can do.
Now, when kind of mentality.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's true. Like we're being now. I don't know how much of this is like. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. I'm like, it could be because I know I pre-ordered a lot of things, and I've just been getting just slammed, just punch from the left and punch from the right, like every other day, because all my pre-orders that were supposed to have shown up in the last 2 years are finally flooding.
Right.
So I don't know if it's maybe it looks that way because we're getting all these pre-orders all at once, and now we're getting more stuff. But they are like, it seems like every other week they're announcing more stuff.
Yeah.
So
it's it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, their release schedule and how they do that for these lines. It really doesn't. I can't figure out their strategy. I've never been able to figure it out. I went to Walmart the other day, and I went down the toy aisle like we all do, and there was a whole case opened up there, stacked on the shelf very neatly of the re-release of the Kenner Ecto 1 for the Retro Ghostbusters line, and I'm going, why does Hasbro always do this? Where they released the figures over a year ago, and only now the Ecto 1 comes out when there are no figures left on the pegs to sell with the Ecto 1. Like, you want to look at these toy people and just go, what are you doing? Like,
I want to know if they I don't want it, but I want to see the box and see if they put that little disclaimer that figure subject to availability. So that's what they did on the Walmart TIE Fighter. They had pictures of the stormtroopers and all that stuff in their little artwork, and it's like figures no longer available or something like that. It was like, eesh.
Yeah, it blows the mind. Makes no sense.
Yeah, like I get it. I'm sure there's a substantial turnaround on things, but it's like that. We established that TIE Fighter was not the first version of that TIE Fighter.
No.
So it's not like they had to redesign it and retool it. It was like pretty much the same because the cockpit said copyright 2009 in it.
Yeah.
So,
Which was probably the last time they went through a really big redesign of the original Kenner cockpit. So, yeah.
I don't know. It's to be a fly on the wall in some of these meetings. Like, there was what? There's a phrase I'm trying to think of. It's creatives start businesses, but businessmen run them or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what happens. It's like some creative is like, oh, we should do this, but then the business people get involved and they're like, cost, cut kind of thing. So it's like, there has to be a happy medium between the two. But I don't. Sometimes I feel like we kind of sway too far to one direction in these kind of things.
Well, it's like who can get the fastest to mediocrity,
right?
And then they say things like, well, that's why we're doing these crowdfunding models now, because what they're saying is they try to couch it as these are things that never could get to market otherwise because of retail. And it's like, no, these are things that are never going to get to market in the current climate because your corporate suits and bigwigs won't allow it unless they already see how much money it could generate. They have no faith in any of this stuff because they don't actually know anything about it. So what you're really doing is saying the only way to get the toys that we could have just made 20 years ago, but now our executive board no longer has faith in any of this stuff because they're, like you said, stuffy corporate types. We now have to have a division within our company to try and get these things greenlit past the gauntlet that is the executive boardroom.
Exactly. Yeah, Wolfie 762 pretty much nailed it. He said, "Yeah, they run it into the ground."
Yeah. And
it's just there's a mentality. It's everywhere I've worked. I don't know if it's like a cultural thing that we all do or something, but it's like we all put a Band-Aid on it and kick that can down the road. So, but cause I think we talked about it on Laser Pants Live. Maybe I mentioned a lot of these people don't care about what they do when they're there. They care about what they can put on their resume at the end of it.
Yep.
So, and it's just, I mean, we've seen it like there are some people that like to talk about their time and what they've done and all that, but they don't say like, oh yeah, I was, I caused this kind of thing. Like,
yeah,
here's all my achievements. Here's like the 5 things I did great, but not the 14 that they bungled completely. So, oh well, that is what it is, I suppose.
It's it gets back to that whole thing of if something successful gets made from a major toy company these days, it's like you put 500 chimps in front of typewriters and one of them will eventually write Hamlet. It's like, well, because I honestly don't know. I've heard, and I actually heard this on, I think it was 3POA on their last stream, where I think this was them, where they were talking about the differences in the personalities between the Legends team and was that them talking about Legends versus Black Series marketing teams?
I think so,
yeah. And there's a lot to be said for that. Like, even though I don't understand Hasbro's strategy on how they release these Marvel Legends, I do know that I am, per announcement, more excited about certain Marvel announcements than anything that's been coming out of the Star Wars camp for quite some time. I don't even know what Star Wars plans are these days. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't even think they know.
Yeah.
Because it seems like it's all re-releases, really. Like I'm looking. Oh boy. Well, speaking of nothing at all, I'm just to throw this out there. The collection is like 99% organized now. You want to take a wild guess? Who likes to fall over the most? My modern stuff.
Oh yeah, those ankle joints are killer. They're a killer.
But because I'm looking over at my Boba Fett, he took a shelf dive, and but I'm trying to look at my current. Well, I guess Bib Fortuna, but like I'm trying to think of all the releases in the last year, and there's only like a handful that were new figures. Everything else has been repaint, re-release.
Right.
So, but it's mostly like Mandalorian stuff. It's like the new stuff, and I'm like, part of me gets it. Like there's a difference between understanding and condoning. Like I understand why companies don't want to do like cantina creatures because they can't reuse it, so the whole costs so much, and they have to be able to keep their heads above water and all that, and it's this kind of just cycle. They have to constantly be making more money. They can't just continue like, oh, we can sustain this. It's like, no, we have to make more. We have to make more, and then that's how you price people out of the market. And then all of a sudden, you make nothing.
Yeah.
But so part of me, I understand it. Doesn't mean I like it. I think it's horseshit. I'm like, you've been doing Black Series now since what, 2013? So almost 10 years, or might be 10 years. Maybe it's 2012. I think it was 2013. And it's like we still don't have like characters, like, but we've got like the 800th Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Boba Fett sells. People will always buy the new Boba Fett, but at the same time, I'm like, they're not doing it for FOMO. I can tell you that. They're like, you know what? Some of the fans missed on Boba Fett, and we need to redo them for the fans. It's like, oh, well, Eternals is kind of sucking right now. Bring in the Boba Fett.
Yeah.
So
that's why they always have a Darth Vader in the assortment somewhere, or at least they did up until recently. And they always had there was always a Darth Vader. There was always a Luke, and that was up until Disney really got going after Force Awakens assortment. And well, no, I guess after Rogue One was when suddenly Darth Vader wasn't as prescient in the action figure runs. Funny how that works. But I mean, on the one hand, I'm glad that they were no longer putting out the 75th version of Darth Vader, but at the same time, it makes me wonder what bad timing to trade up figures that they know will sell for characters from films that nobody cares about.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's interesting, is how like it's all the same company. It's all Hasbro.
Right.
And I know, for people listening who may not be in the comments, who are trying to get sound bites or whatever, or people who like to take things that I say and then incorporate them into their movies or their videos, but that's fine. I see it. I know what you're doing. But we talk about how it's not just them. It's just they're the biggest dog in the field. But it's crazy how with something like Transformers, they're like, oh, here's all these different characters, and here's like Sharkticons, here's this, here's that. But it's like with Star Wars, it's like, y'all like stormtroopers. Like it's the same. Like we get Carbonized, the credit collection, we get all these different versions of everything. So it's just, I don't know. It's kind of weird how all that shakes out. Like, I don't know. Maybe they're all like subdivisions or sub companies inside of a Hasbro umbrella or something. I have no idea. But that's where having Bobby would be a nice for him to be like, oh, this is how it actually works. This is how these decisions are made.
Oh yeah. But and that's what's really helpful, because he's also still actively in the industry. So running his own company. So he's on top of those changing title patterns. Like he could probably tell us why there was this long-standing policy for so long to have a Darth Vader in every wave, and what was the decision that finally stopped that from happening. It's things like that.
Yeah. Actually, Gojatron brings up a good point. So he brought up Tomi? I know Thomas says it different, but I always say Takara, and I know it's not how you say it, but the Tomi Takara, and I didn't think about that they still exist. So that could be very, very well could be part of it. Maybe it's like a joint thing where it's like they split the tooling budget or something.
Yeah.
But it's, I don't know, the mysteries abound, I guess. Things we'll never understand or never know. And, I don't know. I think, was it the group? It was a live stream or a group chat. And I was talking about the Figrin Dan, the Cantina band.
Yep.
It was like the same team who bungled the Rancor so badly. It was like, yeah, make Vigran Dan. People like him. Like, oh, okay.
And okay, sure. I feel like that's the same thing as saying, hey, the Rancor failed. Let's do a 6-inch Lobot.
Right.
It's like, well, I'd buy him, but
Mhm.
that's because I still recognize Empire Strikes Back as one of the only good Star Wars films. So yeah, I'd buy him, but like I don't think many people would. If, in other words, if I was running a toy company and we had all these unreleased characters, Lobot would be low on the priority list.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I would honestly, I think I would very much like to see a Black Series Efont Mon or a Man.
right.
Like, they'd be deluxe because they're huge, but I'd buy
Yeah,
them.
they'd be $80 a piece if you were lucky.
Right. Impossible Pie says, "Isn't He-Man and Skeletor in every wave for Origins?" And yes, they are.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see them though. That's the thing. 'Cause I think Skeletor and He-Man are released in their own boxes. Like whenever I saw Origins coming out at first, it'd be a case pack of He-Man and a case pack of Skeletor, and then the other 4 figures in that wave would be a mixed box.
Yep.
But the reason they do that, and this is based on, I forget, there's like 100 He-Man documentaries. I don't remember which one I watched, but they said the thing that killed the stores originally was that stores were asking for more He-Man figures.
Mm-hmm.
Like they meant literal He-Man and Skeletor, and they're like, "Oh, we need new characters." And that's, people could like, and I can say this because growing up when I did, and I'm sure Michael, you experienced it as well. That pretty much they would put out the original characters like He-Man, Skeletor, or the 4 Turtles or whatever. They put them out in the first push, and then never again.
Wow.
It would be like variations on a theme. Like that's how you got like Thunder Punch He-Man, or you got like Pizza Party Leonardo, or Tiger Force Duke versus regular Duke. So I think what they're doing now with putting them in each wave is like, I think they saw what happened in the 80s. They're like, we're going to release He-Man and Skeletor because they're like the big 2 in every wave. Also, it keeps them from having to tool up 2 new figures in every wave. Not that He-Man and Motu doesn't use like the same body like 90% of the time.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
That's my theory. So
well, yeah, that's like I don't care anything about anti-Eternia He-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why do I want that? I've seen talk about the biggest peg warmer in Origins history so far is that shirtless Stratos.
Mm-hmm. Naked Stratos.
You find him everywhere. And it's like, guys, I get it that reuse is very tempting, but you got to reuse the parts that can create new characters. You can't reuse them to create the same characters over and over again. People are over that.
And the thing is with Naked Stratos, what could have, in my opinion, what they could have done to justify that is reverse the colors on the wings and the jetpack.
Yep.
So people would buy it because like, oh, I had the blue jetpack Stratos versus red, and then all of a sudden they can swap it and make it the one they had when they were a kid. But they didn't do that.
No, they didn't even come close. Nope.
Yeah. Oh, Jeremy Jernigan, this guy says, "Happy birthday, Sal! Go get yourself a pack of Alf trading cards. My treat." Thank you, Red. I could probably buy 4 packs with that.
Alf trading cards.
Yeah,
that's just depressing.
Yeah, that would have been an interesting panel for Iconicon, was trading cards, because it seemed like every single movie had trading cards, or any IP had trading cards.
Yeah, and yet I didn't end up with many until I was like a adolescent, teenager. I didn't buy many trading cards in the 80s. It always ended up I was more of a trading card kid in the early 90s. And even then it was for all these different trading card lines that nobody else cared about. So like I had like an entire box of Rocketeer trading cards, and I had packs and packs of Dick Tracy. In fact, I think the only trading card lines that we had in the 90s that other people would have cared about was we had the early 90s cartoon and movie Ninja Turtles trading cards. And we had the the Marvel the Marvel trading card series. So like, the Marvel comics would do one every year.
Mhm.
And we had like, 1 or 2 years of that. And we never got them all. We were just collecting, we would get a pack when we go to the comic shop or something.
Oh my
So-
god. Jesse Hughes, Epic Badger, says Desert Storm had trading cards like actual military operation. Yes, several packs.
Yep, they did.
I can't even. It's like could you here's mass casualty card, and it's just like a triage.
You know what? The early 90s was a very I was an American in the early 90s in another country. So it was very interesting to see from that perspective how much
Wait, are you telling me that you may have very well been the American werewolf in London?
right? I wish. But the positivity that was around the pride that Americans had in their country in the early 90s was pretty acute. Like it was and so like I remember the Desert Storm trading cards in stores and stuff like that. It's an interesting time.
Let's see. I remember going to Chuck E. Cheese as a kid, as one does. I wish I could forget the taste of ketchup-soaked cardboard, what they called pizza. But they had Topps like basketball cards and all that for exchange for your tickets and all that. But it seemed like trading cards kind of went the way of the dodo for my generation until Pokemon came out. And then it was all the rage.
Yeah, they had. Yeah, that's true.
But a few people brought it up, and Pogs.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah. No thanks.
I had several Pogs, so I think it was like it's cheap. They're cardboard discs. To this day, I'm not really sure I know how to play the game, but I had a lot of them.
Right.
So, oh Lord. Godutron says I don't know if it's Nasil. I don't know how it's said, Nasile. The Nassau company just announced an action figure line based on old comedians. First wave is Lenny Bruce, Joan Rivers, and Bill Hicks. Yeesh.
Yeah. That's to me, that's like worse than doing, the Popeye figures. It's like, how niche are we going to get here?
Yeah, that's on par with, what is that called? Starting line?
Starting lineup. Yeah.
Starting lineup, which Hasbro's bringing back for some reason.
I'm telling you, they're trying to do as much as they can before they burn out.
Yeah. I mean, Ryan brought up a good point. Like, those figures might come with some nice 1/12 scale accessories like basketballs, like Gatorade things and all that. And I'm like, true, but they're going to be like $30 a figure. Because athletes aren't just going to sign away their likeness rights like that. Like, they're going to make all the money they can, so they're going to be expensive.
Yeah, and on top of that, you're going to be in a situation where, the original figures were smaller scale and didn't move. They were like little statues.
Mm-hmm.
So if these are actually going to be 6-inch posable figures, like you just said, you're getting into a whole nother line. It's kind of like how the Origins guys were trying to get all the wrestling figures as well. Those wrestling figures that were made out of the same body styles. And it's like, God, like you end up tripling down on some of this stuff just to try and get different parts and pieces and this and that they've scattered across all these different figures.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. It seems like they're kind of in their death throes. Like, if they're thinking that's gonna, like, I don't know. I don't get it. Like, I wonder, because they say, oh, price hikes and all that, or this caused a price hike, this caused it. I'm like, and yet you're increasing the price, but starting the lineup. So you have the money to revive that. So, because we know the price is never going to come down.
No.
On any of it. Like, they made the excuse, and as long as people buy it and they keep their bottom line, they're like, okay, we'll just stay here.
Yeah.
So, and I guess that's a nice way to kind of dovetail back into our earlier conversation, because we've been going for about 2.5 hours. I don't want to keep you here all night. It is a Monday night for a lot of people after all. But it kind of dovetails back into like what's the breaking point and what makes someone decide to buy an SH Figure Arts versus a Marvel Legend. when there's a
Right.
price disparity between the two, but that gap is quickly closing.
Yep.
So I don't know. SH Figure Arts has superior articulation in almost every way. Sometimes the faces are a little wonky, but you get more hands, you get accessories, you get all sorts of stuff. Like SH Figure Arts Star Wars, you get a lot of stuff. Like Ryan recently got the Mandalorian Season 2 Jedi Luke, and I don't know what happened with them at Disney, because I liked the scene. I didn't like the CGI, but that figure that Ryan has is a dead-on likeness of Mark Hamill. Like they nailed it. But he said that the head like pops off constantly. Like there's no way to anchor it down.
So this is the Mandalorian Luke from SH Figure Arts.
Mm-hmm. It's eerily accurate, at least in comparison to Black Series.
Right. But see, even the price tag for it is just ungodly.
Right.
It's like $180.
Yeah, I don't know if that was the initial price, because I know SH does the problem with SH is that they're an import,
right?
And so you're going to pay a premium already because it's an import.
Oh, sure.
But I think like was it Link Japan, one of the places you can pre-order them because they're not just readily available. So that's why one of my goals in life is to live in Japan for a little bit, so that way I can just pipeline figures to people.
Mm-hmm.
But
I know I've said this before, but it's going to sound like sacrilege, and I don't mean it to be, but one of my favorite characters of all time is Luke Skywalker, but I've got enough Luke Skywalkers now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think that they've redone the face sculpt again, and now it's even better than before.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, but I grew up when the faces didn't look anything like the actors, and you just kind of had to hope that the face echoed the spirit of the actor in some way. As long as the face isn't egregiously bad, I'm okay. Like I don't need it to be photo real, so.
I grew up in the 90s where my movie action figures almost never even looked at all like the character.
Uh-huh.
Batman and Robin, anybody?
Right.
Like, here's we'll talk about it a little bit in Iconicon, but it's like I grew up, I'm sure it happened in the 80s, but you always had a set, and I'll never forget it. For episode 1, it was a set, I saw it at a Rite Aid. It was Qui-Gon Jinn, and he had the little rebreather thing, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But he had a spear, and he was fighting the Goberfish.
Yep.
Never happened in the movie.
Nope, not once.
So it's kind of like, I'll take a wonky looking face. Like I have the John Bernthal Punisher. Does not look exactly like him, but it's close enough. Even like the original Winter Soldier Bucky looks close enough to Sebastian Stan.
Yep.
But the photo, I won't turn my nose up at photo real, because sometimes they pull it off, sometimes they don't. But like I'm looking at the Peggy Carter and Captain America 2-pack. He looks enough like Chris Evans to me. Peggy Carter obviously doesn't.
Right.
But he looks enough like Chris Evans to where I'd be like, yeah, that's Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're just two men yelling at clouds, I suppose.
Well, that's, people only complain when you yell at clouds when it's clouds they don't want you yelling at. If you're yelling at clouds that they also yell at, then they'll cheer you on.
Right.
So,
yeah, well, it's like I've said a few times before. It's like, it's not that they don't like what you're saying. They just don't like you.
They just don't like you. And that's very accurate. It's very accurate.
Yeah. But, I guess my parting words on the subject is, people, you can like what you like. If you like vanilla pudding, that's fine. Vanilla pudding has its place, has its home, I guess. But by us holding these companies to a higher standard only improves the product for you as well.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh. They found me. So I didn't realize that Monday night was a hotbed of activity for law enforcement, but okay. So anyway, So I've kept you here long enough, Michael. I apologize. I meant to stop this about an hour ago, but
Nah, you're good.
so
So
I thank everyone for turning out and spending their Monday evening with me. It was a great day. Like, I couldn't have asked for a better birthday than to see all you fine people and hang out with Michael and Tony and all that. That's okay then. Uh, welcome to 2 Cents Toys headquarters. But for the one person in the chat who maybe English isn't their first language and they don't know who you are, where can the people find you?
They can find me at youtube.com/retroblasting, and I'm also on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and I feel like I'm leaving one out, but they're all under Retroblasting, all one word. And yeah, that's where my main portal is YouTube. So I make YouTube videos, everyone. That's what I do.
That's right. Well, I think what you do is you know you I mean, you make videos, but primarily you deal with people in the comments that are just asinine.
That's true.
So,
That is a disproportionate amount of my time sometimes, for sure.
yeah, it's I don't know. I don't get it. Like, if there's something I don't like on YouTube, I'm like, okay, I just won't watch that again.
Yep.
But some people are like, you hurt my feelings.
Uh-huh.
Like, oh, okay. Like, are you does your mom, where are your parents? Do they know what you're doing?
I want you to like what I like, and I want you to be mad at what I'm mad at, but I
Right.
don't want you to do anything that's the opposite of that.
I want my words to come out of your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It is what it is. Because, civil discourse is dead.
Yep, that's
But-
true.
Yeah. Also, you can find both of us on Iconicon this year, and possibly Joe Fest if you're lucky, and the Iconicon meetup, be there or be square. But yes, I'm going to shamelessly plug, because I know Michael is a very humble man, but I'll do it for him, to go to the Redbubble store and order your Iconicon merch, because I don't know if anyone's paid attention, but last year isn't available anymore. So when it goes away, it goes away. It's what we have this year is spectacular. I mean, not that last year wasn't great too, but there might be collector's items.
Mm-hmm.
10 years from now when we've replaced San Diego Iconicon, that's very possible. But because I don't know. I mean, Iconicon, we've been doing this will be our second year, and we're having a meetup. And San Diego Iconicon took 2 years off, 3 years off, something like that. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so Redbubble, I'll go retroactively and put all the links to everybody in the description and all that. So, but yeah, Redbubble's great. Retroblasting, share it with your friends and family. You're so close to 100,000 subscribers, and not only do I want that for Michael, I so desperately want to see what happens when that button shows up.
Oh. Yeah.
I can't wait. I cannot wait for that moment.
I don't know what you're envisioning, but
Oh, it's
gonna be.
I'm picturing a lot of snark.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Exactly. So
I bet
anyway,
you YouTube will resent even having to send it to me.
they're gonna send you one, but they're gonna spell it like retro barking or something.
Well,
They're gonna spell it wrong on purpose.
It's gonna be like they're angry that I've kept ads to a minimum on my channel. They're probably not happy that I don't just vomit out useless content that isn't rewatchable. They're
Mhm.
probably not happy about the fact that I grew my audience organically, that I didn't take any marketing deals, that I didn't take on third-party sponsors. They're probably angry about all that. And when I don't mean personally at me, but channels like me that are in their spreadsheet. And so they keep our stats down. So if I organically get to 100,000 without, playing their game, I'm sure they'll practically throw it at me from wherever their offices are.
So they'll just load it up into a Triple J and just launch it.
Yeah.
So it'll happen. It'll happen this year, and it'll be, I Just I'm picturing Broken Vader having something to say about it.
Tony has a great idea. Tony Robles, he says Michael will have the button melted down and made into a Kylie Minogue statue. And
Outstanding.
you know what? If there was enough metal to do that, I might. So
No, it'll show up and it'll be like, oh, in the light of recent events because of Russia, we can't use metal, so here's cardboard.
yeah.
Or it'll just be a PDF at some point. Here you go.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. I have considered the possibility that once we hit, YouTube will stop sending out the buttons because of a budget issue.
Yeah.
Like I can see it happening. So yeah.
Or they'll send it out, or it'll be like, oh, we've had a lot of growth this year, so now it's 200,000.
Uh-huh.
Watch them be like, anyone
goalpost.
who's under 200,000, we're gonna need you to send your button back in.
Yeah, I can see it happening. I will not be surprised if that happens. But again, I didn't join YouTube to get a button.
Right.
So I hope they don't do that, because it would be like a way to, say with snark, yeah, look, we did it without playing the game.
Mhm.
But we'll see.
Outstanding. And last super chat of the night goes to Jim Largo. He says, thanks again for sharing your birthday. Cheers. Well, thank you for being a part of it. That's it was kind of a coincidence, but I really appreciated all the people saying happy birthday and all that, because I'm still waiting on my parents to do it. Huzzah.
And everybody give Sal some encouragement, because Sal is making an appearance in the next Star Wars Follies, just like he did in the last Star Wars Follies. It's a different kind of appearance, but it's an appearance, and it's awesome, and it's going to be fun and funny, and I can only do this with Sal's participation. So try and get excited for that, and tell him how excited you are, because it's going to be good.
You humble me, sir.
It's gonna be good, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of things cooking in the pot at the moment, so we got some stuff coming your way, and I think it's gonna be top notch.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
You don't get very far sounding like me, but you do have your uses.
Yep. And I've been working on all the footage all day. I sent Sal some screenshots and stuff, so it really is happening in real time right now. So I can't wait to get your audio files.
It is. It's something for me to do tonight when what time is it?
Don't do it on your birthday. I didn't mean it like that. I simply meant, whenever you have to, in the next few days or something, so that we can keep everything moving.
Alrighty. Well, everyone, I will see everyone when I see them. I still have those same 2 videos that I filmed and have yet to edit, so they'll get there when they get there. If it's vanilla pudding you're after, well, I got tapioca. You're just gonna have to make do. So, all right. Again, thank you, Michael, for spending your evening with me. It meant a lot. So
no problem.
All right, everyone. We will see you next time, and good night and good luck.
See y'all. Bye.